welcome to
Script Daddy. I'm your host, Colin.
And I'm your host, Carly.
And here at Script Daddy, we read scripts, watch the movies, and discuss the differences between script and screen. And that is why we're here again.
Today.
This moment.
You know what's weird is I've been thinking lately, obviously we'll get into it in 2 seconds, but it feels more and more like the more we do this, it always feels like adaptations. It feels like we're talking about adapting scripts to screen. Yeah. I never thought that before, but doing this is becoming like such a muscle that now it literally is like we're notating on the adaptation of a script to a screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm kind of obsessed.
Here we are. Just can't help ourselves. Oh, okay.
Should we just...
I think let's just dive right in.
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain.
Break
your back mountain.
But like...
And backs are getting broken. Backs are getting blown out on that mountain.
We are being disparaging to a very beautiful love story.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but it might have even just been once.
This is the third time I've seen it.
But I haven't. When was the last time you saw it?
Last time I saw it, I watched it probably within the past 5 years.
Okay.
I think sometime during like lockdown. Okay. I watched it. I was like, I haven't seen that in a while. And this was a very different experience for me.
I am intrigued. It was a different experience for me in that, this is going to sound strange, but I actually think I enjoyed it more this time, which I feel like is not the vibe I'm getting from you, which is
I'll get into it. I have very long things written out.
Give it. I have some really interesting trivia too.
I want to get into that triv, baby. Yeah. I want to get in.
Let's dive right in.
Give me the stats. Give me the triv.
Brokeback Mountain, 2005. Crazy.
20 years, girl. 21.
I mean, they're little baby faces though. Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, it's funny though, because we did Donnie Darko and he is quite literally a fetus in that movie.
Truly.
But he still has that like little boy face in this movie.
He does. And then Michelle Williams, another Michelle Williams.
And she's,
I totally forgot.
We really do this. I know. And even Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, right. My God.
What? But she is kind of a little baby face in it too. They're all little nuggies. And Heath Ledger.
I know.
Damn it. The talent of that man.
Truly though.
Oh,
that man had it.
Had it
Such
in
an
droves.
Incredible talent.
And he made it, he makes it look effortless. He's one of those.
Truly.
Who's like existing on a different plane where
he can go and do Brokeback Mountain, then he can go and be the Joker. Yeah. And give us the performance he gave us in The Dark Knight. I would love to do this movie.
Can we please?
I would love
I'm not normally like super crazy into those, but like absolutely.
I don't even need to do the first one or the third one. I'm down to just do Dark Knight.
No, me too. Me too. Let's just do Dark Knight.
I'm down.
Okay, the log line. This is one of the worst ones, Colin.
The log line, quote.
But for a second there, we've had a couple that we were like, okay, not so bad. No, but this one, if we were graphing, the line drops down, darling.
Jesus, okay.
2 shepherds. First off, that took me out.
Shepherds?
2 shepherds fall for each other, but their relationship becomes complicated when they both get married to their respective girlfriends. Can you think of a worse logline?
I can't think of a logline that would make me want to read this less.
It does no justice to the film at all.
Actually, I can think of a logline that would make me not want to read this less. It's that logline right there that you just read.
It's atrocious.
Atrocious.
And I really feel
Deborah,
like
get your shit together.
And you know what? I feel like it's a fuck you to the movie, actually.
Yeah.
A little bit. So anyway.
Homophobia runs deep.
God, the director. Okay, I should have looked this up. It's either Angeli or Angly.
Angly.
Okay, okay. Normally I look it up and I did not do it. So okay.
Good old Angie Lee.
Angie Lee. Okay, so it was adapted from a story by Annie Proulx. Again, please, I am bad with pronouncing names. Forgive me. And then the screenplay was by Larry McMurdy and Diana Osana. And I thought that was so interesting that it was adapted from a story.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had that yet, have we? It's been a lot of books, but just like story, not like a full blown.
Yeah, I don't know if that means like a short story or it's a concept.
I think it was potentially a short story.
Do you know if either of the writers is gay?
Ooh, can you Google while I read
Let's
some of the
see.
rest of these stats? Okay, so it stars, obviously, Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Michelle Williams. Also, we have to give a nod to Anne Hathaway. I always think it's interesting where IMDb decides like who gets credits for like starring in
Yeah.
films. The cinematographer was Rodrigo Prieto. Prieto, again, forgive me, but I'm really trying to work on it, you guys. The budget was $14 million.
Damn.
It grossed, the worldwide gross was $178 million. And the domestic gross was $83 million, and the international gross was $95 million. It did very well.
Yeah.
Like very, very, very well. Specifically because it was really impressive because there's countries it couldn't play in because of it being such like a gay love story.
Did you see the whole thing about how China, that new movie together with what's it? It's like a body horror movie.
Yeah. With Dave Franco and
Alison Brie.
Yep.
China used AI, I guess there's a gay couple in it, to make them not a gay couple. So anyway.
Out of here.
So anyway.
Oh, we've come such a long way as a world. That's horrifying. Actually, I want this in front of me for the trivia. That's
not wild.
Wild. But I thought that made it this even more impressive that the worldwide gross was what it was because there were places that this was not being seen that other movies would be.
Yeah. I remember it being a popular movie. I didn't know it was such a commercial success.
It really did well. Okay. So I there's like a little chunk of trivia here that I think is worth exploring a little bit. So, okay. Heath Ledger was uncertain about the role when he was first offered it. He was encouraged by his then girlfriend, Naomi Watts, to take it immediately after they both read the script. After reading it, Ledger said he would have flown to Taiwan to meet the director in order to be hired for the role. It's like, but also the difference between just hearing an idea and the importance of an incredible script or a script that's compelling. Like, I just thought that was so great. Jake Gyllenhaal is the godfather of co-star Michelle Williams and Heath Ledger's daughter, Matilda.
Did they meet on that movie? They had to have. Oh.
But I was like, how precious that then he became like, so then the next is Heath Ledger and Michelle Williams met and fell in love on set of the film. She gave birth to her daughter, Matilda, shortly before the film premiered. However, they broke up the fall of 2007, shortly before Ledger's sudden death in January 2008. Horrendous. Daniel Day-Lewis, this is one of Daniel Day-Lewis's favorite films. He cites the reason for this as being Heath Ledger's performance. After Ledger's death, Day-Lewis dedicated his SAG award for There Will Be Blood to Ledger's memory, mentioning in particular the final scene in Ennis's trailer being as moving as anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And when you hear Daniel Day-Lewis saying it, girl, that is a compliment from a Titan.
Yeah.
One Titan to another Titan.
His performance is very, very
I can't wait to talk about his performance. The writer Annie sent both Jake and Heath Ledger an original autographed copy of her story. When she this is actually really special.
Short story book.
When she signed the copy to Gyllenhaal, she wrote to Jake, but when she signed the copy she had intended to give Ledger, she signed it to Ennis. After writing out her personal message, she realized what she had done and decided to let it be. At a private screening at ArcLight in Hollywood, California, she reflected that Heath Ledger really was Ennis. She left the signed copy that way because she felt the actor embodied Ennis in every single way she had imagined him.
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, what a beautiful, like, what an interesting Freudian slip where, do you know what I mean? Because again, like Jake Gyllenhaal is incredible in this, but that idea of like,
it's Heath's movie.
What a cool moment though, as a writer to go like, because again, even if someone's fantastic, doesn't necessarily mean that they were everything you were imagining.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's for a good reason. You know what I mean? Like sometimes but the fact that like it was such a like kismet coming together that she literally wrote to Ennis, to the actor, and then wanted to keep it. I just thought that was so
it's really sweet,
telling and profound. Let's see. I'll keep going through these. According to reports, Heath Ledger nearly broke co-star Jake Gyllenhaal's nose while filming one of the kissing scenes, which kind of makes sense because it's.
I think I know which scene.
I think I know which scene.
Because when they meet at the apartment, they just.
Or no, I was thinking in the tent, man. That they get volatile when they were kissing in the tent. That I was like, I could have been there. Michelle Williams requested that her two male leads kiss in front of her to help her get into the right emotional place for her character, Alma. As she was involved with Ledger in real life, too, she felt that such a thing would help her portrayal. She had to goad both men as their first few attempts were far too half-hearted for her life.
Oh my God, yes, Michelle Williams.
Okay, Michelle!
She's like, go harder, I want to see tongue.
She's like, I need to be devastated. More. Even though we will talk about that moment and her portrayal of that was
it's stunning.
It's like hard to put into words. I was like,
Yes.
oh my God. Okay. During the first weekend of release, playing in only 5 US theaters, hello, this set a record for the highest per screen gross of any nominated movie in history.
Oh my God.
This is the only role Jake Gyllenhaal has ever been nominated for an Oscar for. That surprised me for some reason. Does that feel kind of crazy?
Yeah, that does feel kind of crazy.
I was like, I double checked it, and it also said this was Focus Features' biggest grossing film.
Well,
I wonder if that's still true, because I grabbed that up IMDb, so I'm not sure. But the last thing I thought was worth sharing was on the famous line, "I wish I knew how to quit you," Jake Gyllenhaal said, "That line has moved. It has been mocked. It has been everything in between. But I remember coming out of that scene off that ridge of the hill and seeing a number of the crew, some of whom didn't even know what the movie was about, crying. When I first read that line, I was like, what is that? Now I realize that anyone who has loved knows what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting part of casting us at such a young age was that we didn't completely understand what we were involved in. And that's the beauties of movies as well."
Yeah.
I also loved that. I was like,
yeah. They're learning about themselves and the human experience just by
absolutely.
doing
And honestly,
roles.
that line hit me different. I feel like it hit me in the dramatic way when I first saw it. But like this time I didn't have quite as strong of like the emotional, like over the top emotion, whereas it was more of like a knowing of like, oh, because when this came out, I had no idea what it was to love someone in any way. Like
For
that,
sure.
that this time I was like, I almost felt like I understood the frustration behind it versus just like the romantic, I wish I knew how to go. No, like the frustration of actually feeling,
when, like,
I wish
two people are clearly in love, but it's still in a way unrequited love.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's still not enough for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Okay. So that is that. What
Gorge.
is a script, Scott Daddy?
I've gagged myself this time.
Okay.
I went in with very high expectations.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did.
Expecting to be devastated. I went in expecting to have an experience like I did with Moonlight.
Okay.
And I haven't seen this movie in a while. I've only seen it twice. This is my third time watching it. And okay, so the script just surprised me in certain ways. I'll read what I wrote.
Please. Well, are you going to give us your score?
Oh, right. My score is 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. I feel that.
And that is me going, I honestly, in my heart, I think it's about a 7.7 or 7.8. Here's why. So I said, I'm not exactly sure how I feel after reading this. It's heartbreaking and bitterly tender, but also I feel like the impact could have been heightened if the writer pulled back on some of the action. That said, this story is so beautiful that I'd almost rather it stay as is forever. This script is highly specific with its action, giving us full internal dialogue, thoughts, feelings, revelations in ways that makes it feel like reading a book. I think part of this script's charm is held within the extra long prose. However, there are a few moments when the over-explaining actually lessens the impact of what's being seen. Like on page 60, when Jack arrives at Ennis's house after receiving the postcard about his divorce. The action reads, Ennis sees now what has happened. Jack thinks mistakenly that Ennis has come around, that this is their chance finally to be together. Smile leaves his face, rubs his jaw, takes a deep breath, uncomfortable. All of that could have been summed up by simply explaining how Jack's presence and words make him uncomfortable, trusting the reader to see what's happening, then confirming it with dialogue. But the writer goes the extra mile to make sure nothing is left on the table, inadvertently dampening the power of the moment ever so slightly. But then at other times, the very same thing helps drive home the emotional impact of a scene, like on page 83, right after Jack's iconic monologue ending in I wish I knew how to quit you. The action reads, like vast clouds of steam from thermal springs in winter, the years of things unsaid and now unsayable, admissions, declarations, shames, guilts, fears, rise around them. Given the power of the story, I can't deny its emotional impact, but aside from all that, I feel like I missed out on some of the raw power the script itself could have had. So that was my thing. So when I first...
But I just want to say, though, like, you articulated that so well. Because honestly, I was feeling so similar. I was kind of like gaslighting myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Into feeling like it should be a higher score.
Same. I fully thought this was going to be like a 9 or above. And the first like 20 pages of the script, I was loving it. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is fun. Oh, it's going to maybe like we're just giving a lot here.
Yep.
And then it'll, reduce down and we'll get better. Like once we know the character dynamics and everything. But then like the action just doesn't stop. Like it doesn't give you a moment to kind of fill in the blanks for yourself, which makes me connect further with the story. Instead, it's telling me how I should feel, when I should feel it, and in what way.
Yep.
And I was like, I know how I should feel right here. I see it all right here. I see how he's reacting with the dialogue. But then you won't just stop and let me be like, okay, like it was, as I said, we used to say a lot in season 1, it was a bit long in the tooth. And that just I was very surprised by it. But I will say the emotional moments hit me harder on the page. And I'll get into that in my movie score.
So honestly, my script score, like I literally have like a ... here because I really was struggling with this weird internal feeling of, because here's actually the other reason that I literally didn't even settle on one. I was going between 8 and 8.5 and then that felt too high. But then but the reason I was struggling was because if you look at it as a document in which the movie was made from, the score for me would go higher. If you look at it as like a document meant for filming solely, it felt like the score should be higher. But when I looked at it from like the experience of a script as a reader, am I then going to want to make this film? I think any reader would read this and go, this is a movie worth making, in the sense that the story is so interesting. But the writing of it is hard because it's not bad. You could never argue that it's bad. But
I have a lot of script notes where I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible.
But I think it's because it is written like a novel. Almost the entire thing is written like a novel.
The entire thing.
Only that it's formatted like a screenplay, but it is written tonally what you come to be used to when you read a novel. Where and then I was doing the thing of going like, there's so much chopping that happens for the movie and thank God for it. Yeah. That they really peel back on a lot that then made me go, but then I wonder if having a script that had this fucking much in it helped inform their performances where we had way less words. Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel but
see what I'm doing? I'm literally
the actor everything that they need to be doing.
But this was the dialogue I was having with this. Every time I wanted to go lower, I was like, but do you know what I mean? Because again, if you take any random page, if you snag any random page from the script, you will go, that's a well-written.
There's things on every page.
Absolutely. And like you and I, we are very good at not discussing, but we had one back and forth where we both giggled that the same line of action spoke to both of us, and we will read it.
Girl.
But like, and by the way, it was one of the shortest lines.
Yes.
And so there's that too, where it's like, and we've been talking about this, where it's like, some people really, really have a gift for writing action in a way that is both very literal, visual, and poetic. But there were times where it was almost too much of a good thing reading this, where there were times where it was so descriptive that I actually couldn't picture it. And that's crazy.
I know exactly.
Where I was like, you're literally giving me so many details that, and that's gorgeous because that
overload for the brain.
Because I'm like, you clearly see it so clearly that you're able to give me every detail under the sky, but because I'm not in your brain, you're actually giving me so many details that now I'm zooming out.
Yeah, the nuggets of gold get lost amongst all the weeds. Weeds is a bit that's a bit of like a mean term, actually. Not weeds, but like it's just getting lost amongst all the other things.
Truly. And again, and then you look at the dialogue and you're like, it's good dialogue, especially with like the accents, the way on the page, like you get the sense of how they speak, and then it absolutely translates fully in the film. I was both very impressed by that aspect of the dialogue, and then at other times being like the excessiveness of it at times.
It hindered it a lot. The grammar, like I loved that it brought me, like initially I loved that it brought me on board with these characters. You got to hear their cadence. You got to a real feel for how these cowboys are talking. But then at certain points,
shepherds, shepherds.
But then there's moments where I had to reread a couple lines to really understand what they're saying, because I feel like there's things where like if you want to say wanna, why don't you just spell it W-A-N-N-A instead of W-A-N-T-A, want-a. Yeah. It just little things like that kind of added more friction for me.
Yep.
And and hampered the experience.
Well, because the details got even in the it was like obsessive at times in a way where again it would almost
for a book I would love.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I guess I'm gonna land on an 8.3 and that feels high, but it was mainly because when I was zooming in on certain things, I was like, oh, that's impressive. But then when I would zoom out and just look at it as an overall experience, it would be lower. It would be more like an 8 or less, because I found myself going like, how do I find this story to be so compelling? And like, since I watched it in particular, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. But then having the experience that I have with the script, where there were times where I was being taken out of moments when I wanted to be going further in.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet,
exactly,
it was arguably overwritten. It was not like I want, when I say I wanted to get in more, I'm saying I think it's feelings.
Definitively overwritten. Yeah.
So movie score.
Okay. My movie score is 8.7 out of 10.
Okay.
And what I'm going to read to you, I want to acknowledge to everyone listening and to my gorgeous co-host. I understand that I'm coming at this with like a postmodern view. I'm coming at this from someone 20 years, past when the film came out. Gay media and queer media is much more nuanced these days. It's very different. We have a whole spectrum of gay media that we can go to and watch. Like Moonlight is just so layered and gorgeous and so good. I understand like this was very groundbreaking for queer people to have this put on a center stage, and like it was a big moment for gay people and for us to be seen as humans, and like to for people to be able to sympathize with the gay struggle. That said, I think that I'll just read what I wrote.
Yes, read.
I said, I can't deny that this is an important film. It sheds light upon the struggles of being homosexual in a world that doesn't care for or desire your existence. In so many ways, the main antagonist of the film is society itself, and we see the wreckage caused by people not being able to live their truth in a sustainable way. From Jack's reckless actions, which possibly lead to his early demise, to Ennis's struggle as a person who siloed himself from existence, desperate to hide his true nature so that he doesn't meet the same fate as the man he saw as a child that was brutally murdered for being gay, and even to the women who loved these men, unsure why they could never get all of them, leading to unhappy and tumultuous marriages. While all of those experiences are true and inextricably woven into the experience of being homosexual, I can't help but feel like there's so much more left unexplored between Ennis and Jack because the film almost solely focuses on their strife. The few fleeting moments of queer joy are small respites within the narrative, like the moment in the tent when Ennis and Jack seemingly kiss for the first time. I would have preferred to focus even just 3% more on the joy that they bring each other, giving us a more well-rounded view of why this love runs so deep for them. In a way, this film feels like the gay experience as seen by a straight majority, unable to slip beneath the pain on the surface to see the core of love, defiant resistance, and the willpower it takes to exist as a gay person in this world. While that's clearly not the point of this film, I still wasn't able to fully fall into their love story because it didn't feel quite as multidimensional as I remembered it. But that's not possible when the main focus is on tragedy. So that's where I landed with this. I was shocked that, like, first of all, I felt much more of a connection to the characters on the page than I did in the movie. The performances are incredible. It's stunning on so many ways. But it's like, I'm gotta stop comparing it to Moonlight because you can't compare the films.
Yeah.
But that's like what I see is like Moonlight is a film that gives you the struggles of being gay with the joy of being gay. Mm-hmm. And it meets those two. But Moonlight's not a tragedy. This is a movie set in a time period when gayness was met with a lot more hostility. Mm-hmm. It was much more taboo. And it still is in so many parts of the world and even in America. Like, that's still very much a thing now. But where I kept kind of coming up against was that, like, these men love each other so much. Well, it's like, it's layered. They love each other, but they're also convincing themselves that it's not love. But, like, there's all these times that they go away into the mountains and all we ever see are these beautiful Ansel Adams vistas of the American West and them riding through and getting into a tent. And we never see the tenderness that keeps them coming back there. Mm-hmm. We only see that moment in the tent where they kiss and they kind of cuddle and they start having sex. And it's like Jake Gyllenhaal's character is much more forward with his expression of it. And Ennis is obviously has his trauma from being a kid. And like, he even implies that his dad may have been the one that killed that man. It's very, very layered. And that made him go into his shell of masculinity and hide from the world. But like in so many ways, I felt worse for their wives than I did for these men. I felt more sadness watching Alma see her husband cheat right in front of her eyes. I felt more sadness when Lorene is talking with Ennis on the phone at the end and realizing this is the man that he was going away to, because I think she knows how. I think she's lying about how he died. I think she knows he was a hate crime.
I do want to talk about that, by the way.
And and Ennis, though, I felt like very, very deeply for him, like when with the shirt and everything, and that ending shot of him. It's a gorgeous performance from Heath Ledger, but I felt more on the page. Like I had tears in my eyes when the shirt thing happened on the page. But then in the movie, I was just kind of like, yeah, that's sweet. And like, I feel things, but I feel like I should feel more here. But instead I was like, it feels almost like trauma porn. It felt like a movie to me that's meant to show straight people being gay so hard. And this is why we should feel bad for placing gay people in this place in society, because look how much we've done to them and they feel bad about it. Instead of being like, yeah, being gay is a struggle, but look at the beauty in it as well. This didn't focus on the beauty. It just focused on the heartbreak. And that's a legitimate thing to explore, because that's kind of what the story is about. It's like star-crossed lovers that can never be, and it's tragic. So like, it's a little unfair for me to go this hard on it, but it's like, that's why I'm saying like, I totally see that I'm coming at this from like a postmodern perspective, because that's not the point of this movie. Everything I'm saying is not the point of this. It is to show the tragedy that these two men couldn't be together and they loved each other, and that they were constrained by societal like expectations of straightness and how men should act. But yeah, I don't know. And I still, even right now in this recording, don't fully know how I feel about the movie. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, but like, based on everything you're saying, it's not weird. It makes sense. And of course you're going to go through this with a different fine-tooth comb than I would. Like, it's interesting because I'm hearing you and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting but then it's making me go like, oh, why did I perceive it the way I did? Because what's interesting to me about it is when I watched it this time, I felt very aware, obviously, of like their gayness, but I was more struck by like the commentary on like love and like in of all of them, like that Lorene seemingly like the only time I really felt for Lorene was when she was on the phone with Ennis, because all of a sudden you got a little bit of like, and Anne Hathaway really did an incredible job with that scene. It was really,
that might be the best acting of her career, is that scene.
Because it's so insane. Restrained, but there's enough going on. Tears
well up in her eyes, and you can just see the wheels turning.
Because I felt like that. I felt like I really kind of like fell into the world of these characters so much that's the stuff I haven't been able to stop thinking about, was like these themes, like this idea that we always think we have more time. That was something I kept thinking about, was like Ennis really thought, we're going to probably be able to do this forever. And it's not the way Jack wants it. And it's not the way I totally want it, but we're going to be able to at least always have this. He never considered that. And so those themes are what made me like, I was literally debating between a 9.8 and a 10, which surprised me because I didn't feel that way the first time I saw it. I thought it was like a really tragic film and it struck me, but it was weird because I also really thought everything they did in the film versus the movie made for a better storytelling in so many ways.
Yeah.
That, and like the performances and like what Michelle Williams brought to it, like, and the choice to like have her see them kissing. Whereas in the script, she sees something kind of going on that you could very easily, go, I think I know what's going on. But the choice to have her see her husband making out with a man when then we see what their physical relationship is like
never had with her.
Ever. But then also to me, I guess then I was going into like her decision to stay. And I know because, but okay, I'm really getting ahead of myself. But but like, I guess my point is the reason that I was so struck and went so much higher with it this time than I probably would have if we had had this conversation when I first saw it was because of the themes of it and the personal decisions everyone was making, in the sense that like, for a second, I was like, well, Alma's staying because like you don't get divorced back then, and like she's got kids, but then they do get a divorce after she says, like, we don't have enough money to like, you know, risk having a child. And then he kind of says like, well, if you don't want to have my child, then like you can leave me alone. And then the next scene, we cut to a divorce that I thought to myself, so she was staying in a marriage she knew she could leave, but why didn't she leave it?
Yeah.
Even though she knew her husband at bare minimum was bisexual, but bare minimum, even though she knew, but why couldn't she let go? Why couldn't she?
Yeah.
So, and then like Lorene going like, you're a beautiful woman. The relationship started with sex. They make the choice. That's not in the script, to like have a sex scene where she is going for him, blah, blah, blah. And then Jack later reveals that's never really been a huge part of their relationship. And it makes me go like, why is she staying? Because like, yeah, he's pretty good at his job and like whatever, but like there's no real like prize pony about Jack for her.
Yeah.
But then also the choice that they made.
And her whole family hates him.
Yeah. And then in the script, again, I'm really jumping ahead, but this is just the stuff coming up of the things that I've been like, my brain has been chewing on, is like in the script, the Thanksgiving scene, he just like leaves. It's like defeat. He leaves.
I love the choice they did in the movie.
I love in the choice because it also showed like, at least with Ennis was protective of Alma in that he felt guilty that he couldn't be in love with her.
Yeah.
And that you see him get defensive with Jack, like, do not.
Yes.
Whereas like, it felt like with Jack and Lorene, they both just like accepted they were going to be best friends, or like, you know, maybe that's a direct,
like
but
Lorene
they were
kind of always knew.
But that's my point.
But then it's not really confirmed until Ennis calls her at the end.
And that's my point though, is going like, those were the part of the things that I think stuck out to me so much. But again, to me, it was like the tragedy of being a person and the choices that everyone was making, that every person in this movie was making. And obviously the center point being these two young men, and then seeing the ripple of all of that, but that they made the choice for them to get a divorce, that Alma did know she could get a divorce and that she did.
Yeah.
And that she didn't then ask him, or that she asked him, why didn't you remarry, when she fucking knows. So it was, so to me, I think the reason, it's like I almost saw it more, I felt like I was seeing it under the scope of like a interpersonal drama.
Yeah.
And I was so taken by that. But hearing your reasons for why yours is lower, I'm like, that's so fucking valid. I completely get why you might be also sick of going like, okay, enough trauma. Like, I get the joy part.
Also, it's valid, but I also don't, I don't know if my assessment's completely fair. That's why I'm very split, because it's like I said, like that's not what the movie is. What I was saying and all my gripes with it are patently not what the movie is. Mm-hmm. The movie's not exploring those things. And it's pie in the sky for me to be like, well, it could have been more, you know, engaging for me had I seen these things explored in it. I don't know. Like I feel so odd about it, because it's like a story about gay people, but like, why did I feel more for straight women? But like, I don't know.
Well, because it sounds like you're holding those men, despite knowing what they were struggling with, you're holding them to the standard of like, why did you drag this out with them a little bit in this?
And I just confirmed it looking up. When I was reading it, I was like, not one person involved in this story is gay. Not one person here knows what a gay thing is. Every single writer is straight.
Oh, woof.
And that's why I know, and you know how I know this is vulgar, but the reason I know that is like beyond a doubt, the gay sex scenes in the tent happen in a way that would tear you apart. Things would not be okay.
Wait, what do you mean?
They start having sex out of nowhere. He spits in his hand once.
Wait, but I have to ask you.
Shoves it.
Wait. Did I send you the TikTok like forever ago where someone took the clip of Jake Gyllenhaal's character Jack laying on his side on the mountain? And it's like after they have sex for the first time, and then I think you see Ennis leave, and then like the next time they're together again, Jack is like implying laying on his side, and like. Granted, this was the TikTok take, but I was shook. I thought I sent it to you. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I sent it to Richie. I don't know. But it like the TikTok take was like, no, y'all, he's not sitting that way or laying that way because he wants to. He's laying that way because he cannot sit on his tuchus.
Possibly. It's just, it was that like that.
I can
and
definitely
then
see
the
why
fact that like the focus is so much on their strife as a couple
Yeah.
instead of like, I would have cared more, like I said, had I had more moments of like them in the tent kissing
Yeah.
and then like him resting his head on him and Ennis seeing this Ennis's shell start to melt and Jack like willing him out of this shell of masculinity that he's built around himself and to be tender. And like you get the first inklings of it when he's like, that's the most you said all week. And he's like, that's the most I've said all year. And you see that Jack brings out this different side of Ennis. That's why I was enthralled the first play up until like, all of Brokeback Mountain, like the beginning of it, when it's just them being young on there. I was enthralled because I was like, this is engaging. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And you saw the tenderness, and you saw how he was continually being changed by him. But then I would have felt differently had we spent a little bit more time throughout the years when they go back to show how like that tenderness comes back out of him. But like also then Jack kind of implies that like, that's, I don't know, like they make a point to say that like they both light up when they see each other and stuff like that. But then it's also like, I don't know. Yeah, I just would have liked to feel more.
It feels, that makes total sense. And truthfully, I also wish, it's funny because I felt like that was so, like, although at times it was so poetic in the script, I did find myself going like, oh, I wish we could see more like intimacy between them. And then the movie, like,
it was very sterilized.
Yeah.
I think given the time period
and I'm thinking like, I hate to say it, but now knowing that like all the writers were straight, all that, it feels like this was greenlit this way because it was most accessible.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
I agree. Yeah.
But like
But how could it be any other way in 2005?
I mean, fair.
With these stars attached?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And but then like that being said, one of the changes that I loved so much, and it was such a small scene, but like, for instance, in the script, when they go to the motel after Jack comes to see Ennis for the first time post Brokeback Mountain 4 years later.
I really like that scene
I love that too. In the script, their bodies are not together.
Yeah.
It's like, and because the script felt like it was always about fucking. Whereas the movie felt like they implied it, and I wish they had showed it more, but they at least implied more with the film.
That's true.
That there was a tenderness to them.
Yeah.
I wish we had gotten to see it more, but the script really did feel like, to me, like it was just about like, we have this explosive sexual relationship that we cannot get a hold of.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie felt like these are soulmates. Like these are people who are soulmates. And now again, I wish we could have seen more, but I still felt like they did a good enough. The fact that they were so committed to still seeing each other as often as they did, I would have liked to see more, but it was indicating enough, and some of the back and forth, but like I didn't finish my thought. Sorry. What I meant was in the script, they are not physically, they are post coitus in the script having this long conversation about their relationship. But in the movie, they're right up, Ennis is in Jack's arms, and it's the most intimate we ever see them.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. It's really such sweet. Tight shots. It's so intimate. It's flirty. It's sweet. It's tender. And I was so grateful that they chose that, because I even in the script, I remember being like, the clothes are strewn across the room, and Ennis is on one end of the bed, and it's like, it was so nice in the movie to see them just like wrapped in each other's arms. And it was like, I do wish we had seen more of that. And it didn't need to be more sex scenes. It was just like, no, just more of the tenderness.
Well, you know what? Like there's a tender scene that literally brought me to tears on the page that does not hit the same in the movie because they don't really. One? Okay. So it's right at the very end.
Okay.
And Ennis has a flashback to them on the on Cold Mountain when they were like 19. It's kind
of buried in the movie.
And it does not have the same emotional impact that it did on the page in the movie, but in like it says like flashback, and Ennis has this flashback where it's him wrapping his arms around Jack as they're standing. Jack's really tired, and he says something that his mom used to say to him, like, "Time to go to bed, cowboy. You're sleeping, standing up like a horse or whatever." And it says like Jack leans back into him, and it's this deeply intimate moment.
It is
a moment that like only two people who love each other have. Yes. And like, it's very, very tender and very sweet. And that like, it happens, I'm pretty sure right after he finds out that Jack is dead. And
it's actually, because I went and looked because I was confused. It's right when Ennis tells Jack, I won't be able to come up for our next one.
Right.
And then Jack gets so upset and is like, it doesn't have to be this. And he says, I wish I knew how to quit you, all that. That all of a sudden it flashes back to that. And then it comes back to them leaving.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And it is the last time they're together.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
And like those moments just get like, I was like,
but I agree with you though that
on the page, the impact was immense.
It was.
But in the film, it was just like kind of a passing moment.
To be honest, in the film, I was confused because I was not on my cell phone. I went, was
and
that a flashback? They don't look so much younger that I went, wait a second. Because Ennis says, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how they end the flashback. And in my head, I was like, see you tomorrow. You just said you're not going to. And then I was like, oh, it's a flashback.
Yeah.
And it made me go like, oh, I don't know what they could have done to make it more, I guess the physical appearances would have been more helpful. I don't know. But it really was buried in the movie in a way that bummed me out because it is such a sweet and tender little moment.
On
like
the
their
page,
little faces.
Because it was like,
and you're seeing
what they're losing.
It
was like, this is what they're losing.
Yeah.
Like that tenderness, like that side that you don't get to see that with their wives ever. Like that side of them. It's like, but then there's only a few moments like that where we see what they are with each other and what they are with their wives, but we focus more on what they are with their wives, but we don't have the contrast of seeing what they're missing out on.
No, that's a really good point.
But let's get into some
motherfucking page notes. My first one's page 5. When's your first?
I have 3 on page 1.
Girl, give it 2. May.
I said gorgeous opening. So this is how the film opens. It says exterior highway night near dawn. 1963. A cattle truck running empty tops a ridge on a lonely western highway. To the west, the first faint flush of light. Across the plain, perhaps yet some 20 miles away, a sprinkle of lights like fallen stars on the vast dark plain. The truck roars on. A sprinkle of lights like fallen stars on the vast dark plain. Girl,
put it in a song. Put it in a song. Put it in a song.
Taylor Swift, put it in a song. My next one on page 1 is Ennis's character description. I love the character descriptions in this script.
Great.
I said, Ennis's character description is gorgeous, albeit a bit much, but still, this is one of those few times I don't think I'd tell someone to cut it down. This is before I realized that all of the scripts like this. It says, this is Ennis Del Mar, not yet 20, but nonetheless compelling, not light or frivolous in disposition, appearance, or manner, uncommonly quick reflexes, a high school dropout, country boy with no prospects, brought up on hard work and privation, rough-mannered, rough-spoken, inured to a stoic life. Has outgrown his faded denim cowboy shirt, his wrists stick well out of the sleeves, the buttons gap. I love that because it tells you the kind of person he is. Granted, like the characterizations of like saying like his uncommonly quick reflexes, he's brought up in a hard world and blah, blah, blah. Like that, none of that we can ever really see. And when you see it in the movie, we see Ennis much quicker and we don't like his clothes don't look tattered or threadbare. Mm-mm. Like that was actually one of my gripes is the coat he's wearing in the very beginning looks like it's fresh off the rack. And I was like, he's carrying his shirt and pants, which are the only other clothes he has in a brown paper bag.
Well, they hit in this script how broke he is. Yeah, almost to the point of insanity.
Just like with Jack's drinking, every scene Jack is drinking. I'm like, I get it. Jack's an alcoholic, and that's how he's dealing with his gayness.
Yeah, but that I actually was grateful that they peeled back a little bit on having to remind us every 5 seconds that he was poor, but they used it enough that you understood some of his actions because he, whatever.
Like this one line would have been enough. Like. Has outgrown his faded denim cowboy shirt. His wrists stick well out of the sleeves. The buttons gap. Love that.
Love.
You know everything about a person. You know what it reminds me of is this is throwing it way back to our first episode ever. As Above, So Below. There's great usage of clothing to indicate character in
which
that.
We love.
Mm-hmm. Loved. Then my last one on page 1 is I said, I love that there's little bits of exposition in the action, rounding out Ennis as a character, indicating his circumstances even more clearly. It says, Ennis steps out of the truck, no suitcase, just a grocery sack stuffed with his only other shirt and a pair of Levi's.
Love.
Gorge.
Yes, God.
Then I have some on page 2, some on page 3. And one on page 4. We'll get to page 5.
But one thing I want to say that this script really reminded me of, and again, you and I were actually talking about this recently because we read a different script that we were talking about this with, that like even the best writing in excess is too much.
Too much is too much.
Too much is too much. And again, even if it's so well written, in that like you said, it's impressive to see what they can do with this many words, but it's actually even more impressive to see what you can do with less.
Truly.
And that's, I think, craft again, where you're like, the first part of getting good is being able to write a lot that's good.
Yeah.
And then the next part is being able to cut that in half.
Yeah. Next part is to go to the M. Night Shyamalan School of Writing. Well, at least when it comes to Sixth Sense.
Yes.
And see how less can be so much more.
So much more.
So
okay.
much
What's
more.
your next one?
Page 2, just a line of action I love. It says, the old man kicks at the tractor tire a time or two as if irritated it exists.
Yes. Love. There's so many good ones like that.
And then page 3, I said page 3, I said, we keep learning more and more about Ennis's character from little moments in the action. It's so nicely paced out, bringing him into more detail little by little in a way that's intriguing and engaging. The old man says, don't let that, none of this makes it to the movie, but I did love this dialogue.
Yeah.
He said, the old man says, don't let that damn Joe Aguirre send you up there with no 22. Coyotes don't mind a 22. Make sure he gives you a 20-aught. And it says, too much talk for Ennis, who nods his thanks, looks up at the mountain as if he walks off. Too much talk for Ennis. Love. It tells you everything about him. He is this stoic man. And like, again, actually, I would argue that you could cut his character description down to 2 lines and then it'd be more compelling because in the character description, it says, inure to this stoic life. Let us see that he's stoic by that one line tells us too much talk for Ennis. There you go, baby.
Oh, yeah. This movie definitely was one of those where the intros, they felt like they had to tell you like a little bit of someone's like whole shtick where you're like, no, you're revealing a part of what makes a script in a movie interesting is the revealing of new information. It's like we want crumbs. We don't want a full loaf of bread. At our meat. I want a little piece.
I guess this season my buzz phrase has been information gaps because that's the beauty of it. You build little information gaps and you keep people wondering, and then you give them another breadcrumb and they're like, oh, delicious, let's keep going.
Absolutely.
This is on page 3. It's Jack's character description. It says the driver sits a moment in the driver's seat, then gets out and slams the door of the pickup in disgust. Looks at it much as the old man had looked at the tractor tire. This is Jack Twist. Like Ennis, a rough country boy with little education, but somewhat different in appearance and attitude, a little less stoic, a little more of a dreamer, more welcoming, appealing, with a quick laugh. I loved that, with a quick laugh. That tells you, like, you could say, you could just give him a little bit of things and then say with a quick laugh. That tells you everything about him. Mm-hmm. Like he's jovial. He's wanting to have a good time. He's lighter on his feet.
It's such an apt description for him too, and how he's portrayed.
It says 19, not as tall as Ennis, more compact and muscular, thick dark hair, worn jeans, bull rider's belt buckle, faded shirt, stubbly beard, straw cowboy hat, boots worn down to the quick. Doesn't notice Ennis. The steps of the trailer house are still in shade, but when he does, he stiffens a little, looks at him, looks away. Then the two ignore one another completely. And so they have a lot of moments in the script where they are indicating that Jack is gay.
Yes.
Like little glances that are all taken out for the movie. Like there's one moment where when they're on I keep wanting to say Cold Mountain. When they're on Brokeback Mountain and Ennis is bathing himself.
And
in the script, Jack looks over at him. But in this, we're close on Jack's face, and in the background, it's like a out of focus shot of Ennis washing, which that shot was incredible.
Really, it really was. And I kept waiting for him to look.
You know what? Me too. But it's almost as if he's like determinedly looking forward, like so. Well,
do you also think, even though
away.
At this point, I feel like there was so much around this film that like no one was going into this movie completely blind. But part of me wonders, like, was that to make when they do have sex that much more whatever, because Jack was not really leading the way he is. He's not leading in the script, but he's a little bit leading. Like it's
way
light.
More leading in the script. Like if you know what the thing is in the script, it gives it away really quick.
Agreed.
So no, I would, sure, I think maybe, because the way the sex comes about in the movie is so like out of nowhere. And then also
other than that, they're both
ever so
drunk.
Both drunk, but it also felt ever so slightly ickish on Jack's part because
I will forever be obsessed that you've inherited ickish from me. Like, it's like, you don't understand. It's like, it fills my heart with, it's like an honor to hear it.
It is an OG Carlyism. Carlyism is an OG Carlyism.
Oh my God. Anyway, continue.
But it's ever so slightly, it was ever so slightly ickish for me because it felt like again, God, it's so modern of me, but it felt a little predatory on Jack's part to be just like assuming that Ennis wants it and like kind of forcing him. But then Ennis does.
And boy, does Ennis
does. So like clearly he assumed correctly, but like it's so quick and so shocking that like, I guess maybe that's the point of it. That's supposed to be like this harried, fast thing that's like, oh shit, none of them expected it. I don't know though. It just the other times I've seen this movie, it had much more of an impact on me than this time. I was like, oh, oof. Also, I could just only feel pain. But
to be honest, I could only feel pain, and so I can't even freaking imagine.
You can imagine.
Well, that's all I can really like. But it's that I was thinking about that. I like wanted to talk to you because I was thinking about that scene a lot where I was like, on one hand, like I do get why it is the way that it is, but on the other hand, like does feel like it's an interesting choice to have really like no flirtation between them. Like they truly do seem like two dudes who are like getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
That there's not like a bunch of undertones happening. Like they kind of seem like two dudes who like.
The first undertone you see is when Ennis is thrown off the horse and he has the bloody head.
And Jack goes to
dab it, but he decides not to and gives it to him. They make more of a meal of it in the script.
They do make more of a meal of it in the script, and yes. But like other than that, not really. Yeah. That the only thing that's there is that they're both drunk. It's the first time Ennis is also drunk. Like Jack's been drunk, but like they're both drunk. He's freezing. But like you said, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, whoa, you're putting your hand there. And then Ennis is like freaks out in a way where you're like, oh, he's going to be like, no way. And then all of a sudden,
then it's like, yes way.
No way. It's yes way. That like, but then on the other hand, I was like, okay, I could see it because then it becomes like this thing that happened.
Yeah.
But then in the script, they indicate a lot more physicality without seeing it. In the movie, they don't. And that's what made it kind of confusing when...
In the script, you don't see anything. In the script, you go outside the tent, you only hear sounds.
Which honestly, to me, felt like, okay, like, why are we so afraid of this? Like, do you know what I'm saying? That actually really fucking annoyed me in the script. I was like... We don't like. Lord knows we've seen 6 bajillion straight sex scenes.
Yeah,
we don't need to be such like we. You know what I mean? Like I'm
and don't worry, guys. When your girlfriend drags you to see this movie, there's gonna be boobies.
Yeah,
twice
for real. But like, yeah. So I was so glad that we are there and we do see it because I think you needed to like be like to feel this thing. But I just thought it was interesting that the script, they have like a couple of quick like half scenes where it's like doing what they've been doing a lot more of, or like someone's putting their clothes back on, blah, 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 blah. There's I think one scene in the movie after where you see like Jack's like getting his clothes on, and then they have the kissing scene or whatever. Yeah. But like when Ennis says to him, I have a note later that's probably more specific, but when Ennis is like, talks about like, this is a one shot thing, it lands stranger in the movie because comes out of nowhere. In the script, you get that they've been, that this has become a thing.
They make it clear that each night they're having sex.
Whereas in the movie, you go like we've only seen you do this once, and they're both going like that. Mm-hmm. That was a little weird.
It felt
to
a little
me.
Disjointed.
A little bit, yeah. Because it also felt strange to hear Ennis acknowledge it
without having any other history there. It's like, okay, we did this once, but then when they're doing it every night, he's going to grapple with it more and being like, why am I doing this? What is this part of me?
So what did you... we're getting ahead.
Do it.
Really quick. What did you think about... So they have sex and then Ennis gets up on that horse.
On that horse?
On that horse. and goes up and sees that a sheep has been killed.
Yeah.
And I
actually love that moment.
I love that moment.
I love it because
did you feel like it was I saw it as the physical representation of the guilt he felt.
He feels guilt and shame because he's like,
when I enjoy myself, this is what happens. Someone gets hurt.
He even says, I haven't had time to sin like you have in this world. I haven't had my time to do this. He's, had a hard life and he's been focused on work his whole life. The one moment that he lets himself go and indulges in something beyond even his understanding.
Yeah.
When the whole time Jack is like, oh, Joe's like fucked up for making us do this, and he's like, well, this is the job. This is what we have to do. He goes up there. He didn't do his job. He shirked his responsibilities, and now Sheep's dead. And he feels deep remorse for it. And it's like, the physical representation of like the shame he feels for what he had done. It's like, this is what it reinforces that idea from when he was a child and when his dad showed him the gay man that they killed, saying bad things happen when you do this.
Yep.
And it's a direct correlation.
I thought it was a really smart.
It was great.
I really liked it. I thought it was powerful. It wasn't too on the nose because it also worked in a literal sense, which was like, no, you take literal guilt out of it.
Very symbolic. Like, that it's this bloody
100%. But like, even if you take it's also that thing where it's like we're all telling stories all the time, right? Someone else who's more at peace with their sexuality or something like that. Like, let's say they were both openly gay and they just decided to hook up for the first time. They wouldn't necessarily. They either would or wouldn't read into that. But that idea of like, no, he literally did not spend the night up there. Mm-hmm. And so the sheep died. And it's not because he had gay sex. It's just because he didn't go and sleep up with the sheeps.
Yeah.
Or with the sheep. You know what I mean? Like that, it felt layered in the most gorgeous way where you were like, we could tell for Ennis, it was feeding a very specific story. Whereas for someone else, it would just be like, fuck, I really got to get up there with the sheep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought it was very powerful because it wasn't too on the nose. It was just a great example of us having a further understanding of, this is how Ennis perceives things. When he lets himself go, bad things happen, whatever. Mm-hmm. So page 5, this is small and this is not in the movie. It just felt very telling to who Ellis is. Ennis is balancing a long ash on his cigarette, considering the ashtray, which is overflowing onto Joe's paperwork, finally just taps it into his hand.
Love that.
I just thought it was so simple, but told you everything about him. That he's the type that is considering, do I put my ash and then just puts it in his hand? Because it's further to what we said. Yeah. It's always self-sacrifice. I'd rather hurt myself than whatever. But again, so simple, but so poignant.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of sad that it wasn't in the movie, but it did so much for me in the script that it was like I didn't need it in the movie.
Great characterization.
So good.
Loved.
Okay, what's your next? Because I have quite a jump. Like
I have a bunch of page notes, so I don't think we'll have time to go through all of them. I loved on page 9, we find out about Ennis's history a little bit, but there's a twinge of dark comedy in it. Jack says, "You from ranch people?" Ennis says, "I was." Jack says, "Folks run you off?" Ennis says, "No. They run themselves off. One curve in the road in 43 miles and they miss it. Killed them both. Bank took the ranch. Brother and sister raised me mostly." I loved that. Like, there's one curve in the road for 43 miles and they missed it. I was like, that is so dark.
It's
like
so dark.
Just someone coping with it and like in just this kind of flippant way.
And it's like visual without being like too gruesome. But it's like it's very good.
Clearly this guy's had a hard life, but then you see that, and then like the bank took the ranch, all that. I thought that was really nice.
I agree.
Exposition.
I agree.
When's your next one?
I mean, I have a lot more like notes about after seeing the film in comparison to the script. My next one isn't until like 48 because but again, that wasn't because I was like going through it. I'm like, I could make notes on so many aspects of it. Yeah. But it was like page 48 and 49. I was like shooketh by how good it was that I just was like focusing there. But let's mind some of your goodies.
Okay, I have ones that I underlined that I think are the fun ones. My next one was the sex scene, and like I said, I'm reeling from that scene because it's so inaccurate of how it could happen. I mean, it could happen, but
ouchie.
You're gonna go.
But Jack would have been perhaps a bit louder.
Yeah. Also just like felt like a straight person wrote a gay sex scene. Got it. page 29 to 30, I said, it's beautiful how they chose to show Jack and Ennis struggling to come to terms with the fact that their time on the mountain is coming to an early end. Ennis's frustration turns to violence since it's the only outlet for his emotions that he's familiar with. And this is what it says on the page. I really love that because it was heartbreaking. Like, I wanted them to stay up on that mountain.
And Ennis'
like,
little panic.
I know. I was like, I want the whole movie to stay here because I love this. But it says, exterior Brokeback Mountain camp morning. Their tent is struck, camp gear piled high. Ennis and Jack, boots off, pants on, and shirts unbuttoned, are wrestling. Two boys at horseplay. Ennis is only half playing, tense. Jack is trying to lighten his mood. Ennis slips, trying to avoid a hold, and Jack accidentally knees him in the nose. Blood pours, getting on both of them. Ennis jumps to his feet. Jack immediately gets up, tries to staunch the blood coming from Ennis's nose with his own shirt sleeve, and Ennis cold cocks him in the jaw, causing Jack to stagger back and fall on his ass. Jack looks up at Ennis, rubbing his jaw, too stunned to say anything. Ennis looks down at him, wiping his bloody nose on his denim sleeve, furious and despairing all at once, more emotion stirring in him than he knows what to do with. Oh, I felt so bad for Ennis in that moment because like the first taste of like companionship and like he's been alone his whole life essentially. His whole family, his mom and dad died, his sister and brother pushed him out. And now he's found something and now it's gone. And he just has to go back to this life that he thought was going to be his life. But now he's had a taste of what like, you know, things could be and he's losing it. And it's so sad. I hated that. And then page 31 and 32, I said, so heartbreaking to see Ennis break down in the alley after Jack drives away. Oh, girl. I got to read the script, baby, is what it says in the script for that moment.
Yes.
Because that is so sweet because he's holding it together this whole time and then he cracks. So it says, they shake hands. This is on the bottom of page 31 to the top of page 32. They shake hands, hit each other on the shoulder. Jack gets on his pickup, adjusts the rear view mirror, drives away. Ennis puts his hands in his pockets, watches him go, stands there in the wind. It has begun to spit snow. Jack's pickup is soon out of sight. He starts across the street towards the bar, but just before he gets to the door, Jack's leaving proves too much. He feels like someone's pulling his guts out, hand over hand, 1 yard at a time. He stumbles into an alley, drops to his knees in the whirling new snow, kneels there, silent as pain, longing, loneliness overpower him, emotions stronger than he's ever felt for another person consume him. He feels as bad and confused as he's ever felt in his life, punches the wall, bloodying both his knuckles, his eyes fill with angry, stinging tears. A cowboy passes in the alley, pauses, looks at Ennis. Ennis glares at him. What the fuck are you looking at? The cowboy moves on. Again, this is before the overwriting had kind of weighed me down.
Because it is a little overwritten. You could have done it in half as much, but it's
reading
still...
it now, having finished it,
Yeah.
It doesn't have quite as the emotional impact as I thought when I wrote this. Just because, like, you're telling us too much. All these emotions he's never felt before are coming up and up.
Yeah.
Him holding back tears, falling to his knees, and punching a wall is all we need to see to know what's going on, and then to see a guy see him and say, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
100%.
That would hit more because then you're gonna know what's going on, but you're also still gonna question just a little bit.
100%. Yeah, because it literally like the pain, longing, loneliness overpower him. Emotions stronger than he's ever felt. It's like you actually don't need all of that. You actually don't.
Like if someone had sent this to me, giving me notes, and this is like a script that they wrote, I'd be like, gorgeous, beautiful. Pull it way the fuck back. But yeah.
And God, in the movie, it's visceral. Like he looks like he's like retching. Yeah, it's oh my God. And again, you're like, that is how Ennis would experience it. That it would be so physical, like so deep in
he's pushed everything so down that like this moment where he can't control anything.
You know what?
Of course, it would come up as like a physicality is like vomiting.
You know what really haunted me about it too, and it was one of the things I kept thinking about. That again, I'm not gonna lie, is part of why my score for the film was so high, because so much of what makes a movie go up high for me is if I can't stop thinking about it. And like one of it was that, to me, like one of my favorite things about love of every kind, to be honest, is the ability to experience it, express it mutually, but then also be able to share sometimes with other people, like how meaningful a relationship is.
Oh, yeah.
And it just kept like getting me that like Ennis never got to share with anyone.
Oh, God.
That he...
Oh, that will actually make me cry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Colin. That's what really got me, was that I was like, Ennis, that's why like the shrine at the end like wrecked me, because I was like,
oh, girl.
If not for that, he could almost convince himself he made it all up, because nobody paid witness to them.
Yeah.
Other than like Elma, but Elma does like fucking, I'm raising kids and I'm like, she's not like, oh, tell me about your love. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
she's like, I'm stuck at home doing all this and I'm knowing that you're cheating on me every
100%. And that it's like he had no one to pay witness in any way to how deep he felt for another person. That just like got me. And like same for Jack, but for Ennis in a different way, because Ennis is like his parents, like all of that. You know what I mean? Like all of that just like, ooh, was it getting me, where I was just like, that's one of my favorite things about being alive, is being able to express love and talk about love and talk about my gratitude for love, and to think that like some of the most like deep love I've ever experienced, I could never feel safe sharing with another person any aspect of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of the things that just like, ripped me up. And that when he dies, going like, now it's just you. Like you can't even then go get a beer with your friend and commiserate about how incredible this man was. It's just you. Oh. And how that could like literally drive you mad if you let it.
Yeah. If he hadn't found that shirt and had at least some shred to hold on to. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, so what's your next one? My next one's on 46, 47.
Okay, then go there because I'm right after.
Because I have one in between, but whatever. 46 to 47, I said, when Ennis gets the postcard from Jack, the hope it gives Ennis is so heartbreaking.
It's like childlike.
It's yes. So this is 46, 47. If you've never seen the movie, why are you listening to this episode? But like, he went and got married to Alma. He has kids now. There's this whole thing. And then out of the blue, a postcard arrives and Alma's like, do you know a guy named Jack? Because a postcard arrived for me, whatever. And this is what the action says. It says, we see a raw boned hand holding a postcard. We read it. Friend, this letter is long overdue. Hope you get it. Heard you was in Riverton. I'm coming through on the 24th. Thought I'd stop by and buy you a beer. Drop me a line if you can. Say if you're there. The hand trembles ever so slightly. Alma, busy with the cooking, doesn't notice. And then, so I love that the hand trembles ever so slightly, because that's one of those moments where they pulled back. They only tell you that little thing to indicate that this is like rocking his world.
Yes.
And then later on down the page, on page 47, it says interior Delmar apartment. Oh my God, this made me like, I wanted to cry. I wanted to just like, I'm going to read it for you, obviously, but like the layers of this with Ennis and showing like this man doesn't have much, but he has this hope now. And it's just so cute. Oh God. Okay. So it says interior Delmar apartment, Riverton, day. Ennis has taken the day off. Paces wearing his best shirt, white with wide black stripes, looks in the mirror, looks out the window down at the street, pale with dust. The girls chase each other through the living room. Alma fans herself with a magazine. Alma, maybe we could get a babysitter. Take your friend to the knife and fork. It's too hot to cook anyways. Ennis. Jack ain't the restaurant type. We'll be more likely just go out and get drunk if he shows. But like him in his best shirt. And he's sitting there like expecting.
Isn't really in the film though. He's like not.
He's wearing a striped shirt, but like there's no way. Like again, that's only for the page to get to let the reader know like this is his best shirt. There's no way to really indicate that unless we had seen
a night and
threadbare. Yes, exactly, or seen him have done his hair, or whatever. Yeah. But then I could see like if the visuals were that stark, it would be a little too cheesy. It's a bit more realistic, but like that idea that like he doesn't do this for anyone else. He doesn't get gussied up for his wife. We haven't seen him do anything like that. But like this hope, but also he's nervous. He's drinking a beer.
Oh my God.
He's looking out the window.
And then he ends up, you start to get like in the script and in the film, like he gets there late. So Ennis is like smoking a cigarette, is like 5 beers deep. And then,
but the fact that like what's your next one?
So, okay, 48. This is the part you and I were like screaming about.
Oh girl, yes.
I will say if you read this script, 48 and 49 are so good. I'm not going to read
So
all of it
good.
because it's a lot, but it's really, really good. I'll read like the parts on 48 and 49 that I really like. Oh my God, yum. So this is right after what Colin was saying. He hears Jack's pickup pull up and he like, okay. So, Ennis has stepped out of his apartment, closes the door behind him as he sees Jack taking the stairs 2 at a time. Sees each other by the shoulder, hug mightily, squeezing the breath out of each other, saying, son of a bitch, son of a bitch. Then as easily as the right key turns the lock tumblers, their mouths come together. Hello?
Like, are you actually fucking kidding me?
Clutching.
Like, Pulitzer Prize for a sentence. Pulitzer Prize for a sentence.
Pulitzer Prize for a sentence.
It is so gorgeous.
I'm going to read it again.
Yes.
Then as easily as the right key turns the lock tumblers, their mouths come together.
Oh.
Oi.
And then in the movie, it's like less poetic and more like the dam has broken.
Yes.
Like they pounce on each other in a way that like it's so public that
but
it's undeniable that
but the
like
way
if there was
Ennis, because it's like Ennis is
yes.
like the pursuer.
Ennis is the one that goes for it, and Jack is taken aback by it. And you see this moment where he kisses him, then he pulls away. There's this look in Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes where he looks at Ennis like, holy shit. And then he's like, okay, let's go for it more. And they push each other up against the wall. And like knowing what happens next, having seen the movie and read the script, I was like, no.
Oh, so
no,
I know.
no.
Okay, but also
felt so bad for Alma.
Oh
like,
my God.
No.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm about to read that part. So, but I did think, because you are such a format girly, that I thought it was cool that when it says sees, like it's not like they see each other. It says like sees each other by the shoulder, hug mightily, squeezing the breath out of each other, saying son of a bitch, son of a bitch. I loved that it wasn't put in dialogue. It was and that's literally that is in the movie. Jake, they literally like they hold it and then Jake Gyllenhaal goes, son of a bitch. Like it's literally that. But I loved, it's so minor, but I really loved that formatting choice to not take us out. It's like, no, they knew we needed to stay right there.
Yes.
That visually we couldn't even go to a break and then see. It was like literally they just kept it there and it felt so passive and yet gorgeous, and I just loved it. Was so minor, but I just fucking loved the choice to do that.
You know what? There's another moment with cool formatting where they don't break it up with it's the inverse, where there's dialogue and they indicate action in the parenthetical. It's
love.
They're handing each other plates and stuff.
Okay.
Of course, I think they might be out on the mountain camping or whatever,
Okay.
but like there's dialogue and it says in the parenthetical that Jack hands him a plate. Ennis takes the plate.
Love.
He gives the thing that like, but like it's all at the top of the dialogue, and you're not cutting the scene up because what we're learning is so important that's almost secondary. That is very fun.
Don't be afraid to
formatting.
do shit like that. I loved it. I
You know
literally
what? Daddy
was like,
doing the wild. Daddy
doing the
play
wild.
with formatting like that. We've said things like this before,
Yeah.
but like when a moment is very pertinent, don't cut from it. You can do kind of things like this that make it interesting and still keep you in it, but give you everything you need to know.
Truly, I felt impressed by it, if anything. Okay, so page 49. Now, I will say, while I loved this on the page, the choice that they made for the film is stronger.
So much
It
stronger.
is stronger, but this is very well written. Page 49.
This line of action that you're about to read, girl.
Ennis and Jack, that one? Or which one?
With Alma. Are you about to read what it says after she sees? Okay, just go.
Ennis and Jack have pulled back from one another when Alma slowly opens the door again, only a few inches this time, and stands in the narrow light looking out. Ennis turns, sees Alma peeking out. Jack picks up his hat. Ennis, glad for the dim light. That's in a parenthetical. Alma, this is Jack Twist. Jack, my wife, Alma. Ennis, his chest heaving, does not turn away from Alma, but can still smell Jack, the intensely familiar odor of cigarettes, musky sweat, and a faint sweetness like grass, and with it the rushing cold of the mountain. Ennis, in parentheticals, as if it's a reason. Alma, Jack and me ain't seen each other in 4 years. Alma, though, has seen what she has seen, understands many things now, having aged years in the space of a few moments.
Are you kidding me?
Frame it.
Gorgeous.
Alma, though,
A second
has
Pulitzer
seen
Prize
what
for a
she
sentence.
has seen, understands many things now, having aged years in the space of a few moments. I am hard pressed to think of a better description for what that woman is experiencing in that moment.
Because it's like
If
all
you-
the puzzle
your
pieces that were
whole-
missing. It's like, oh shit.
Your whole life, your whole marriage, all of a sudden you're going, everything in 1 second just changed.
Yeah.
Now, granted, she does stay with him, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter.
But she was still this innocent person before that.
Her internal experience from that point on, she becomes resentful instantly of him.
Yeah.
That I was so shook by that. And she plays it to a T of that. Like having aged in the years. In years
is incredible.
So to go to the movie, like they make the choice. So in the script, it's like she sees them, like he's like his head's like kind of down, and it says like the wind. It says we do not see the kiss. We only see Alma's POV. Ennis's back, his head tilted sideways and downward, but it's clear what they're doing. But oh my God,
unambiguous. In the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, you see them making out. Like Mac Daddy Central.
She sees a side of Ennis that she's never seen.
He's got Jack up against the damn wall.
Yeah.
And
can't hold himself back.
Which makes it even more intense.
All this man does is hold himself back. And to see him in this moment of just unabashed, he's out in public. She saw this. And it's just like the revelation that would have upon you. You would question everything. It would force you to backdate your entire relationship. And just like, I just love that. Like, what's the line again? Understands many things now, having aged years in the space of a few moments.
It's stunning.
It is so good.
It's incredible.
So good. And it's those moments that would be even more, like tenfold more impactful. It's already incredibly impactful. Obviously, we're talking about it. But like, having taken out some of the other stuff, it's those moments that would just be like, holy shit.
I know.
When it still is. I don't want to undercut it that way, but you know what I'm trying to say.
And then like, for fuck's sake, when they come back and you see her and she knows she doesn't have enough time to like say, even though I was like, girl, you better than me. Cause I'd be like, what in the
things are happening, things are being said. Things are being said,
but people
are getting pushed.
Well, because in the script they don't go right away to the mountain, and again, it is a stronger choice in the film to have them do that. But it is fucking gut wrenching.
It is
to watch him come in speedily, and she
tries to busy herself with her purse. Like, I was just doing this, and then she there's a moment though. So in the script. In that moment, he's like, we're going to go out. I probably won't be back tonight. We're going to get drunk. And then he says, if you want any smokes, they're in my pocket.
Then he says he's leaving doesn't he say they're leaving for a couple days or no?
In the script?
Oh, no, sorry. You're right. My bad.
In the script, he says,
I'm thinking about the movie.
We're going out. I probably won't be back tonight.
Yep.
We're going to get drunk. If you want any smokes, they're in my pocket, my blue shirt.
Yep.
In the movie, he comes in, he says, we're going to the mountain. They're leaving right then. Yep. And then they give Alma this gorgeous moment with the cigarettes where it's like she sees her life slipping away from her. She sees, oh my God. And then she's like, the only thing she can think of to try and get some semblance of control is to say, to remind her, to remind Ennis, hey, I'm still here. Your wife, the mother of your children, I'm still here. She says, can you get me some smokes? He says, they're in my pocket. Yeah, he's like, he's so dismissive of it. And I thought that was so smart to have her, like, just see her, like,
anything,
the only thing she can think of.
Down.
Please, yes, exactly. Please, just get me cigarettes. And then even that, he's like, no.
And then when she holds her daughter and she cries into her, that killed me. Especially like as a mom, I was just like,
Michelle Williams again,
the woman that you are. She's unreal.
Incredible acting. I mean, this movie is just full.
I mean, that moment though, like when she's crying into her daughter, because again, you're like, she has no one to talk to about this, let alone her children. Now she's sitting here taking care of their kids while she knows her husband's off
doing kissing and
doing
God
kissing.
knows what else.
Doing kissing. Doing passionate kissing. Oh my God. Okay. Page 51 was my next one. What do you have anything?
My next one's on page 66. So
okay. So page 51, I said this was such interesting dialogue they cut because I think it really sums up Ennis and it felt very honest of him, whereas it felt like Jack was only partially being truthful. Okay, so in the script, they go to the motel and again, they're physically separated, but their clothes are everywhere. We get the message. They've been fucking. Ennis. So Ennis has like and they took some of this dialogue and they put it up on the mountain, some of it, but this was not. Ennis says, I've been sitting up here all this time trying to figure out if I was ... question mark. I know I ain't. I mean, we both got wives and kids, right? I like doing it with women, but Jesus H ... ain't nothing like this. Pause. Never had no thoughts of doing it with another guy. Jack says me neither, which I think is the first time he lies to Ennis.
Yeah.
And then it says, pause, old Brokeback got us good. This is in the movie. We got to work out what we're doing now. Friend, we got us a situation here. I thought it was so, again, I was glad that it was in the script, like in the sense that it felt very truthful for Ennis and not truthful for Jack.
Yeah.
I do think that they were like each other's like soulmates.
Yeah.
But I think Jack understood that he was a gay man, and Ennis, as far as he could let it go, was, I don't know what I am, but I know I am for this person. Like, yeah. I don't think Ennis thought about sleeping with other men. Like, and because maybe just because he didn't allow himself to, but I think for Ennis, it was like, it's you or it's nothing.
Yeah.
As far as,
and that even kind of is confirmed later when Jack says he goes to Mexico and he's like, you've been to Mexico and all these things that I don't know, if I find out, could get you killed. Yeah. So he's like, it's all eyes on Jack.
Whereas we see, this is in the script and in the film, we see multiple times where Jack is trying to sleep with another man. Like where he does it after the rodeo with the clown. Yeah. He's trying to hit on it. So Jack has a further acceptance of himself of going like...
Well, I think Jack's hooked up with men before Ennis because he's the one that initiates it.
Agreed. And he seems just more comfortable with his sexuality in general because like whatever he's got going with Lorene is like whatever. But even like the way that they come together, like Jack just seems like a person who's more comfortable with sexuality in general and it understands that this is a part of himself and that he was, of the two of them, willing to walk away from everything at any point. Yeah, at any point for Ennis.
True.
Whereas Ennis, I think this was truthful for Ennis, where like Ennis like spent all this time in his head and all he could come up with was like too afraid to admit I'm just full-blown a gay man. But for Ennis, it was like, all I know is like nothing is like what I have with you. Yeah. And I don't think about other men. And I don't think Ennis does. Like you really get the impression that like for Ennis, it's Jack, like period. Agreed. And he can't have that. So he's going to do his little whatevers with girls on the side to keep from being alone all the time. But Jack, you see a different struggle. It's like Jack knows it's as good as it can get, he thinks, with Ennis. But that doesn't stop him from going, no, but like I need to express myself this way with other men. Like I am gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I just thought it was an interesting choice that they had Jack say me neither in this because it was so not truthful. It was so clear that Jack does. But I'm glad they didn't keep Ennis's dialogue saying that, but I just felt like for the sake of the script, it was informative to hear him say that. It was. And also to see Jack lie.
I was actually shocked to hear Ennis say that. To like, there ain't nothing like this. Like saying like, I like doing it with women, but there's nothing else like this. And I can understand why they even took that out of the movie even more because like Ennis, he wouldn't have the emotional understanding, I think, to vocalize that in that moment. Just all assumptions, but I really liked that scene.
But it felt like it was Ennis's way of making peace with his situation. Yeah. He could not say, I am a gay man.
I'm still,
He had to say like...
I think Ennis probably is bi. That's
because you do get the impression that he has somewhat of an affection for... I mean, Jack to some degree too, but Jack is just far more.
We never see Jack and Lorene have any of the moments that Ennis and Alma have.
True. They have like, that's true.
Like we see a bit of tenderness between.
That's true.
Again, Ennis is very much like bound by duty and like he's going to, if he commits to something, he's going to go and do it.
You know what's interesting about you saying that though, is I thought it was interesting. So when we first see Ennis and Alma have sex before, like after Brokeback, but before Jack comes back into the mix, it's kind of heartbreaking because he like, starts to touch her and then immediately flips her around and you see her. Yeah. You see her.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. It's.
Which seems a little bit, again, like a straight person who knows nothing about gayness trying to indicate that this man isn't really straight because he would only want to have sex with his wife from behind. Where like it kind of felt tonally off to me. That scene, like it's clearly indicating something where I'm like,
I also, but
Okay.
what I
Do they only fuck that way?
well,
then?
but so then here's what I thought was interesting about the contrast of the two, because I more so had a visceral feeling for her where I just like her little expression kind of made me like
She didn't
sick,
want
where she just
that.
was like, and it's like it felt like he disassociates, like he kind of goes to a different like
Yeah.
whatever. But what I thought was interesting was then after the only other time we see them have sex again or start to is after he's been with Jack many times. And it's right before the divorce where it's actually, he's not flipping her around. They're actually like getting a
Missionary, yeah.
little, it seems for a moment like they're both into it.
It
like,
does, yeah.
And it's not that way on the page at all.
On the
I
page,
didn't feel that way.
Oh, I think it's a bit even more so on the page because we
Oh,
see the
really?
lead up to it. We see her reading her
Oh.
magazine. She looks at him,
Oh,
sultry,
you're right.
hopeful.
Yeah.
He gets in bed and they just start, doing it or
Yeah.
whatever. But then
You're right.
it was a bit like, it was a bit of like too contrasty for me on the page because like she seems so expectant of it. Whereas cutting right into it where he's already on top of her about to enter. And then she's like, well, we should do some. We're so behind on the bills. Like, we can't have another kid.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, if you don't want to have any more of my children,
Yeah.
then I'll happily leave you alone.
Which I really do think it's such an interesting choice that they decided to do the divorce at that moment. Because it made me go like, what have they been staying together for then this whole time?
Yeah.
Other than I think that like we needed to see that even after a divorce, Ennis was still not going to be with Jack.
Yeah.
But it was just an interesting choice.
You know
It was
what?
an interesting choice.
This also just made me think that like so much of the romantic connection is boiled down to sex. Even with Jack and it's like even Jack says, I can't just get by on 2 high altitude fucks a year like you can. Boiling their whole relationship down to sex, which I guess I could argue that like these men who maybe haven't parsed through their emotions and know themselves very deeply would maybe just boil all the connection down to sex.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
What I don't know. If you don't know.
I don't know. There's so on page 66, at the Thanksgiving dinner scene, when Alma finally lets loose,
She says
all those things.
She says story time. She says TikTok story time.
And in that moment, I watched Sev came in halfway through, and I was watching that, and he saw that scene. He was like, "Why is she just saying all this now?" And at that moment, I was like, "Why is she?" But then I realized, I think the reason she finally lets loose and calls out Ennis about him always going away to fish when he wasn't actually fucking fishing, is because she's now with a man who idolizes her, who is providing for her. She's in a safe environment there.
Yeah.
It's her Thanksgiving that he's coming to, and she feels like safe enough to finally bring this up.
Yeah.
But there's a line of action as she's doing the dishes that is gorge.
Give it to me.
It says, Alma is scraping harder and faster as if she means to take the pattern off the plates. Girl, yes. I love.
Give it.
That is so
delicious.
good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's so good. It's one of those moments that like that is like kind of writing that you see in a book usually, but like it works so well in this context just because it informs so much more.
But again,
than
it's like
just
what we
scraping the
said.
plates.
Everything we're saying they're just absolute nom nom delicious sentences that again are potent no matter what because we've mined them out.
Yeah.
But that being said, the whole script could have been like that.
Yes. That, you know what? That's exactly it. That's where the disappointment comes in. Disappointment might be too strong of a word, but like the whole script could have been that if you just pulled back.
Yeah.
Peeled it back.
Peel it back. I literally only have one other one on 62. I just thought this was so minor, but like genius. It says Jack, Lorene, Bobby, age 8, Lorene's long-suffering mother, and LD Phillips, Jack's prick of a father-in-law. Lorene's long-suffering mother and LD Phillips, Jack's prick of a father-in-law. So I was like, you guys are so good at being short-winded when you need to be. That is so quick, but tells you everything we need to know about these really minor characters in the film, but they're potent. And like, we needed to know what we just found out.
Agreed. That just reminded me of Joe, I think his name's Aguirre. I forgot. His character description is really delish to.
What does he call it? Stemming the rose?
Yeah, I actually Googled that to see what that means, and it has a bunch of different meanings. One of them meaning like getting drunk, but it means taking the thorns off of a rose stem. So I think there's
Beep, boop.
things implied.
I feel like they chose a term like that, though, that was like, could be interpreted different ways because he wasn't going to just come out and say like,
yeah,
fucking.
Agreed. On page 4, this is just Joe's character description. It says, the driver, Joe Aguirre, middle-aged, stocky, no fool, hair the color of cigarette ash and parted down the middle. Foam dice hanging from the rear view, gets out. The reaches back in for an oversized container of coffee.
Gorgeous.
Short to the point, gets it
through. Gorgeous girl.
I have just a few more on. So on page 70, Jack has a line of dialogue that is so poetic and gorge. I don't think it makes it through to the movie, but Jack says, "Sky's so deep, a fella could drown looking up." Love.
Might be in the movie. Maybe. I don't know. But it is good.
Page 83, I said the action right after the iconic "I wish I knew how to quit you" line is stunning, and it is. I mentioned this in my script assessment, but here's the full thing. It says, like vast clouds of steam from thermal springs in winter, the years of things unsaid and now unsayable, admissions, declarations, shames, guilts, fears, rise around them. Ennis stands as if heart-shot, face gray and deep-lined, fights a silent battle, grimaces, his eyes screwing shut, fists clenching, legs caving, he hits the ground on his knees. Jack is frightened, thinks maybe it's a heart attack, or else the overflow of an incendiary rage. Jack, Jesus, Ennis starts towards him, but Ennis jerks away. Jack moves towards him again, and this time Ennis doesn't resist, struggles to his feet. And this I put in bold. And they hug one another, fierce, a desperate embrace, managing. And they hug each other, a fierce, desperate embrace, managing to torque things to where they had been. For what they've just said is no news. Nothing ended, nothing begun, nothing resolved.
So good.
Like
so good.
It's
so good.
So beautiful. Like
you can feel the
so beautiful. And that's why I think that's why I don't know, I just had so much more of an emotional connection on the page, which is what was so shocking to me watching it. Because the other 2 times I've seen this movie, I really enjoyed it. And the first time I saw this movie, I was deeply closeted and extremely homophobic. Newsflash. And I still loved it.
Do you wonder though, like if part of the reason, while we're saying it reads so novelish, novels are very good at eliciting feelings.
Yeah.
That it's almost like part of its downfall as a script is also part of why you felt what you felt. Because you were being given information you aren't typically supposed to be given in a script.
Yeah.
That you know what I mean? Because I felt like they did a pretty fucking amazing job in their performances at delivering things that, again, are the unknowables. If you're just watching this movie and you had not read the script, the unknowable stuff that lives in a script that it's only for the reader. There's so much that is only for the reader in this that in some ways it makes sense why it could elicit certain things. Cause then it's entangling you in a slightly different way. Whereas
so true.
This script makes good on subtext.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie, it's subtext in a movie is quiet.
So much
often.
More left unsaid.
It's so much more left unsaid, and a lot of it's in a look, and it's you can only do so much of that. Whereas this script indulges so much subtext, that I feel that might speak to it a little bit.
I actually completely
it's almost
agree.
slightly unfair to the movie in the sense that you're they can't show some of those things, and if their performances had been cranked up more, it would have been you guys.
I almost wish I had watched the movie then read the script.
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
in certain ways.
Yeah.
My last 2 ones are on page 83, 84, and then 93. The ones on 83, 84 is the flashback scene where Ennis is holding Jack from behind. Let me see if it's not super long. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, and it's so sweet. I'm just going to read a little bit. It says, exterior mountains, trailhead morning. Oh, wait, no. Cut to flashback, exterior Brokeback Mountain campfire night, continuous. Jack, much younger, stands by the campfire. We see two arms encircling him from behind. It is Ennis, also much younger. They stand that way for a moment, Jack leaning back into Ennis. Ennis's breath comes slow and quiet. Then he starts to gently rock back and forth a little, lit by the warm fire, tossing ruddy chunks of light. The shadow of their bodies, a single column against a rock. Ennis hums quietly. Nothing mars this moment for Jack, even though he knows that Ennis does not embrace him face to face because he does not want to see or feel that it is Jack he holds. Because for now, they are wrapped in a closeness that satisfies some shared and sexless hunger. This is not really sleep, but something else, drowsy, entranced. Until Ennis, dredging up a rusty phrase from the childhood time before his mother died, says, "Time to hit the hay, cowboy. I gotta go. Come on now, you're sleeping on your feet like a horse." Gives Jack a little shake, a gentle push, and Jack stumbles ever so slightly in the direction of his tent, stops. Hears Ennis's spurs jingle as he mounts his horse. "See you tomorrow." A shuddering snort from Ennis's horse, the grind of hoof on stone, and Ennis rides away, Jack watching him go.
Okay, but to be fair, if I close my eyes, you're reading a novel.
Exactly.
Because what you just said about...
It is gorgeous, but all of that we can never know in that shot. That's why it doesn't work in the movie.
Because you go drudging up a childhood phrase before his mother died.
You know how they
guess what we're not getting in the film? That subtext.
You know how they do that, though? He says, "My mama used to say you're sleeping on your feet like a horse."
You're right. He says it.
But
still,
it's
that's
so
different.
in passing that the moment doesn't hit like it does on the page because...
How could it?
The flashback is almost, like we had said before, like you almost can't discern that it's a flashback. It's kind of like, what? But yeah. Oh, gorgeous
though, but absolute novelle.
And then the last one is telenovela. The last one is page 93 when he finds the shirt. But and that it really, really got me. It says DBBB.
It says DBBB, a zibabi, a boogie ba.
It says the shirt seems heavy. Then Ennis, so he goes up to Jack's room and he's going through his stuff. And it says, Ennis looks inside to the right. He's looking in the closet. Ennis looks inside to the right, and we see that the closet makes a tiny jog into the wall, a little hiding place. And there, stiff with long suspension from a nail, hangs a shirt. Ennis lifts it off the nail. It's Jack's old shirt from Brokeback days, dried blood on the sleeve, Ennis's own blood from their last day together on Brokeback when they were wrestling and Ennis slipped and Jack accidentally kneed him in the nose. Even that, we don't need that. We remember this. We just read that. Hello. And it says, the shirt seems heavy. Then Ennis sees that there is another shirt inside it. The sleeves carefully worked down inside Jack's shirt sleeves. It is Ennis's own denim shirt. Lost, he thought, long ago up on Brokeback Mountain. His dirty shirt, the pocket ripped, buttons missing, stolen by Jack and hidden here inside Jack's own shirt. The pair like two skins, one inside the other, two in one. Very sweet. And then he presses his face into it and it's like,
so okay.
That really got me on the page though.
Oh my God. Okay, here's a couple of my film notes. This is so minor, but in the script, when they're going up to Brokeback for the first time, Jack takes like a puppy up.
Yeah.
But in the movie, Jack takes a baby sheep and it's more than I can handle.
It's so cute.
It is it's so tiny and nothing, but like it's the cutest goddamn thing.
Gorgeous fucking shots.
Oh my God.
I literally, when I was watching that, I was like, I literally had the thought, I was like, that's where I belong, in the mountains, in nature like that. I'm a mountain girley.
You know
that
what?
is my favorite form of nature is mountainous terrain.
Sev.
Seb loves it too.
Okay, now this might be so offensive of me to ask, but I was like,
what?
There's no way I have.
What could it possibly be?
Is there more to the no more beans comment?
That never even crossed my mind.
Really?
No, because to me,
okay, but hear me out. Let me pitch.
Digestion. So
let me pitch though.
Pitch.
Okay. Well, then that changes it.
You pitch and I'll catch.
Okay. Okay, because I had a gay friend at one point who made it sound like if that's going down, he would say like him and his boyfriend were like, then we're not having beans. That was like a thing that he like ingrained in my brain many years
Beans
ago.
can make you gassy, I guess, but beans like.
So it made me go, but because it felt like that was because it's in the script, but it's in the film, and the film is bared down quite a bit because it has to be from the script. But it felt like that part of the movie, like the Brokeback stuff, is like every little bit kind of served a point because it's so cut back and bare that I was like, if it's not about, because, and again, you get the impression, Jack, we know, we're the knowers now, whatever, that like, he's had sex with a man before. And like, it almost felt like, was it the first, not even about sex, but was it the first inclination of Jack voicing a preference and then us seeing Ennis literally do what he wanted, despite the fact that we heard earlier he didn't like soup. But then when you know what I mean? Like they make a thing out of it. Like he's like, no more beans. And then Ennis goes and immediately says to the guy, no more beans. And he's like, well, it's too early to be sick of beans. And he's like, I'll have soup. He's like, I thought you didn't like soup. So it feels like we're meant to take something from it. And maybe it's not sex, but that idea of that we're seeing these little changes between them. And one of them being that Ennis doesn't seem like the type that if a guy was just like, hey, I don't want beans anymore, that he would just so quick to be like, okay, we're not going to get beans anymore. But it was like, it almost felt like a test of some sort.
Well, I mean, I guess I could see that. My thing where I think it's definitively not about sex because they hadn't had sex in the script at that point. This is before the sex.
But I'm like, is Jack thinking about it?
When is
Jack prepping?
Oh, I'm sure Jack's thinking about it from the moment he sees it.
That's what I'm saying. Is Jack like, I'm not trying to have beans up in my sitch. I'm trying to be ready to go.
Maybe, possibly.
But more so,
Jack's also not concerned about being ready to go because of the way that it just happens.
You know what? You win.
But also like, because that moment is like the first moment of them really connecting is when, you know, Ennis falls off the horse and comes back and you see that Jack, he's not back at camp yet. Jack is worried. And it says there's a gorgeous line of action that I didn't read out, but it says like Jack, when Ennis finally arrives back in camp and Jack sees him, it says he disguises his concern with indignation.
Yep.
And he's like, where the hell have you been?
And Jake plays it so well. Like you feel that.
So like maybe, I don't know. I've never heard someone saying that they will cut out beans if they want to be ready for things.
For other than point, forgive me for the ignorame.
Other than it being in the context of like Taco Bell. But that's just a no-go for most people.
For anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, but then if it's okay, so now again, I didn't go like, oh, that has to mean sex. I more so went like, they kept this for a reason. And if it's not sex, and I'm not saying it is.
I think it's
supposed to just be one more thing where we're seeing that like these little micro shifts between them. We're seeing Ennis talk more, all this stuff. But where like, it just feels like Ennis that we met not too long earlier doesn't necessarily seem like the type that would immediately go with someone else's preference like that it was like a micro thing. But then the fact that we follow up with it when he goes to do the food and he's like, you said you didn't like soup, and now he's willing to eat something he literally said he did not like previous. Felt like we were meant to take something from that moment. So maybe not sex, but nonetheless a shift, like a little whatever. So forgive me for that. But I just was like, what is
Well, to me, that moment on the page indicated that they had been there for longer than they had actually been there and that they were getting that. And then the guy like drives that home by saying, well, it's too early in the summer to be over beans. But no, I mean, maybe I would be more apt to say yes if that was a cliche or like a thing that's like talked about in gay circles, and I just have never heard that.
Fair.
But who knows? Maybe.
And that's why
I'm willing to entertain it because I think it is hilarious.
I beg for forgiveness.
Oh, please. You are the gay gods. They say you are forgiven. So when they kiss in the tent, do you think that's, I just assume that's the first time they've kissed because that's what it seems like.
Yes.
And Ennis is so reticent to it and then he like lets himself go.
Oh, for sure. Because it's cool. Like, well, and then the fact that Jack keeps going like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It absolutely feels like that's the first time they kiss.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
I didn't realize Jack was saying that's okay in the moment.
He's assuring him like big time. He's like, it's like I'm pretty sure that it is okay is what he's saying, but he is verbally like walking him through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. Because I feel like if they had done it before, if they had kissed before, you might have still seen a little bit of that, but it would have been a lot more subdued. Whereas it felt like they really made me a lot of like the inner demons that he was fighting.
Yeah.
That like and it was kind of like heart-wrenching and then also kind of like heartwarming to see the way they transitioned through that moment. But yeah, it wasn't I feel like to me, that's when I was like, that had to have been when his nose got hit. Cause they are like, it's wild. I'm like, dear God.
Oh my God. Well, okay, a couple things. So, first thing, a change that I liked from script to screen was in the script, we see them wrestling on the mountain with their shirts off, whatever, and it's Aguirre seeing them through the binoculars. In the movie, because like in the script, they're just wrestling, having fun, and Aguirre just is kind of like, well, two men don't do that. But in the context, in the context of this, like in the script, like they're supposed to be 19-year-olds. Like they would still horse around, maybe, whatever.
Right.
But then in the movie, they make it undeniable because you see them like they start kissing. And it's like their hat is in front of their face in that moment, but it's pretty obvious because you see one of them, their head move or whatever. And I liked that because it just drives it home more. And like that, I forgot what that actor's name is who plays him. He was in like the vacation movies and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, that he was quite good. There's so many random like Kate Mara's in this, and then fucking Linda
Cassie Cartwright,
Gardinelli or whatever.
Yeah, she's
so good.
One of my notes, Cassie Cartwright. God grant me the confidence to ask for a foot rub
from
a man you just met after you take your shoes off after a full day of work.
I hated Cassie on the page, but I loved the way that she brought her to life. Because I was like, wait, Cassie's adorable.
She's adorable. But I literally was like, shook. I was like, God, grant me that strength.
She's like, I'm trying to get me a foot rub, dummy. And I was like,
but you're like,
you're cute.
It's so cute. But I was like, girl, that takes some ovaries to do that shit. I was like, girl.
Step your fallopian up, okay?
That's some womb shit. I wrote this. Now, it's interesting everything we talked about, but now I also feel like we have found some like micro moments that actually support more of like, you don't see a lot of their joy, but you do see more tenderness between them than I think we realize in the sense
there's
of
more
like,
tenderness in the movie than there's in the script, I think, yeah.
And I said, I was like, the film makes you, I felt like in the script, it was more like something about the film made me feel like they were in a relationship. It wasn't the relationship they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But like something about the script the script almost felt so long and it felt so lifelike in the way that like you hit a point in the script where it was like, and then there's another scene and then another thing happened. Whereas like the movie, like you get the impression that they see each other maybe even more than they actually do. And that like.
In the script, you mean?
No, like in the movie, I felt like we get to see them together quite a bit, whereas in the script, it felt a little more sparse,
more spaced out,
or like spaced out. Whereas like in the film, I think because in the film they also have them go out into the mountains when they first reunite, which again doesn't happen in the script. So you just get like you don't get the impression that they're seeing each other all the time, but you feel as though. And based on like Lorene and like the way it's edited and stuff, you just get the impression like they are in a relationship of their own.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the script, it felt like it was always like one-offs. And I didn't feel as one-offy in the movie.
Yeah, I get that.
But subtle, because it still felt like, you know, it wasn't what either of them wanted and it wasn't as much as they wanted and all that. But like, I don't know. I liked that though. I liked that because it made me mourn when that ending of going like, oh no, like this was a person you were seeing consistently for years and years and years and
that's like 20 years or something
and engaging in this relationship with, and again, you have nowhere to go with this now. It literally ceases to exist.
Yeah.
No one can remind, not that you need another person. And again, that's why the ending is so gorgeous that he has this thing. But anyway, we already talked about this, but I really like the choice that Jack finally snaps at his father-in-law. I thought that was such a stronger choice.
Love, because you know what? It happens. So I wrote down, I said, I love that Jack stands up to LD in the movie during the Thanksgiving scene. It shows us that now that he knows that he can't actually be with Ennis, he is going to take control of his own life. Because right before that is when another Jake Gyllenhaal acting moment. So Jack drives up to see Ennis. unprovoked, doesn't know it. He's all happy-go-lucky driving up there,
Because he gets
like
the postcard
woohoo.
that says divorce is finalized.
The divorce is finalized. He's so happy, and he thinks this is their chance to be together. Ennis shuts it down and is like,
I'm with my girls.
His daughters are there, whatever, but he gets the, like, this can't be. And in the script, I mean, Jack drives home, but like Jake Gyllenhaal's acting in that where he's crying as he's driving, but like he's trying to hold back his tears, and you see his hopes have been just so shattered, and like just the fucking acting. I was like stunned. I was like, yes, Jake Gyllenhaal. And then right after that, it's the Thanksgiving scene, and then we see him fucking stand up to that asshole, and I love that.
Or wait, doesn't he go to he goes to Mexico though, doesn't he?
Oh right, he does go to Mexico in between.
But still, you like see that he's
but then
like
he finally, because in the script he lets LD continue to walk all over him.
And then he leaves, and you're just like,
And then you actually see this cute moment where like when he turns off the TV, he walks back and he places his hand on Lorraine's shoulder to be like, I got you.
I know.
And like, it's like,
and it further cemented that it's like it felt, I think the movie did a good job of showing that like while in the greater sense, these two men were with women that they were never going to give them what they deserved, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I still like that they showed that these were good guys. Like they were good guys. And that in many ways, while they could not give their wives everything, they still were good guys. Like that like, I liked that we got to see that with Jack, that we got to see, because then you see Lorraine do like a little,
she like holds back a stifles
like a little like she
giggle.
feels like, yeah, thank you, daddy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, fucking A. Like that, I just thought that it was like, if that's so not in the script. I mean, literally, he just fucking like ducks out, and it's so lame and boring, and you're just like, oh my God. But I just thought it was kind of nice to see that little exchange between the two of them, because then it adds another layer to Lorraine's phone call, because you're like, oh yeah, there was love between them. It was just, you know, okay, couple of things, but the biggest, there's two things.
Oh, also Anna Faris.
Yes. Okay, so that's one thing I was going to ask you. Okay.
With her husband?
So this is jumping a little bit, but when Ennis goes to see Jack's parents, first off, the mom knows.
Both parents know.
Both parents know. But what I love is Mama knows, Mama doesn't care. Mama loves her baby.
Daddy knows.
Made me
Daddy
don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I still thought it was a very interesting choice, though, for them to have the dialogue that they had, though. But I just like Mama knows, and like there was something again, like I'm a broken record, but as a mother, these things. But also when she looks at him and says, "You want to go up in his room?" I was literally I was like unwell. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, it felt so tender and like maternal to be like, go up there. Yeah. And then the way she, without words, puts the thing in a bed, like it could literally make me cry. It was, I just felt that, like, it sounds ridiculous, but I felt that ancestral maternal thing where you're like, that is what you do. That is what you do. Yeah. If you are not in your fucking mind playing some bullshit games about what's right and wrong, and you're thinking about your gorgeous child and whatever, that's what you would do. And I just like and then come back and see us like that look in her eyes. It was, I literally don't think I thought twice about her the first time I saw it, but like now as a mom, I was just like, it was such a tiny performance, but I thought it was so beautiful. And she offered him a tenderness, because I think he also could sense she knows. And there was just, it was so gorgeous. But so when Jack's dad says, you know, I heard about it, Ennis Del Mar is going to come down here and is going to whip this place up. You guys are going to live down here, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. And then he says, then he's talking about this neighbor, a husband, he's going to come down here. They're going to shack up, blah, blah, blah. So then did you take it that when Jack told Ennis that he was sleeping with the wife, he just didn't want to admit that he was really sleeping with Randall?
Yes. So I wondered that on the page when they're outside of that party that they go to when we first meet
Randall is
and LaShawn
putting the moves on.
And then Randall's sitting there on the bench, and he's like, you know, there's this guy said I can use his cabin whenever. Would you want to go down there, have some whiskey, and go fishing? And so on the page, I was kind of like, are they indicating that? But it wasn't for them telling us everybody's internal dialogue this whole fucking time, and they don't indicate anything about it on the page, and it just is mystery.
But it's acted so.
But then when you're watching it, I was like, I wanted to ask you, was like, do you think he was hitting on him? And yeah, because
But
then
why
when
do
you
you
have the
think
callback to it, I was like, oh,
But why do
yeah.
you think Jack lied to Ennis? Just he didn't want to admit that he was sleeping with another man? Because he says on the mountain that he's sleeping with the woman, and if Randall found out, he would he'd shoot me. And then I was like, you'd probably deserve it. That I was like, because that is like
I think he knows Ennis can't handle it, and that's confirmed when he says the thing about Mexico, and Ennis is like, I'll fucking kill you if you tell me you've been with another guy, essentially.
Yeah, but it even feels like a little. It does. I guess not really. I was gonna say it feels a little surprising that Jack. But I think Jack is always trying to get what he has with Ennis anywhere else. Like again, is a gay man and knows he's a gay man.
Yes.
But also is trying to chase the feelings he has with Ennis with these other men. Because again, Jack never lets go of the fact that like, you tell me when and I'm all yours.
Yeah.
And I think that even with like Randall, it's like, yeah, he was saying he would do the same thing to his dad, but it's like, I think it's because again, he was just so desperate to have that companionship.
Yeah.
But on a dime, he would have been with Ennis.
Yeah, Jack's the kind of person who's going to live his life.
Yes.
Jack knows what he wants. He's going to go for it. And Ennis is the type that is going to suffer through it and, cast himself aside because he's afraid of what could happen to him. And, what he's afraid of ultimately happens to Jack. And so those fears are confirmed for him in a certain way. And it's really sad. But like I don't know if it's so much Jack is trying to find the spark that he has with Ennis with other guys. I think Jack is just, he knows this is part of himself.
Yeah, no, you're
right. He
right,
accepts it enough that he's like, I'm going to do what I want. And, you can too. We could have had this, but you said no. It's sad.
It's so sad. But you're so right though. That is a really good point about Jack, that we have seen about him that he's a person who's like, I'm going to live my life. And that like, maybe I'm wrong in that. Cause if you look at relationships that like gay or straight, take that out for 2 seconds, just the relationships where people always stay in the same place because it's like that, like a long distance thing where it's like you can always have a different level of spark because you're not doing the day-to-day shit, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to look at this movie through that lens because I really think it's so much more powerful to see this as like two soulmates and like how devastating it is. But there is an interesting layer that those two never even had the opportunity to like get bored once in a while with each other because they're always on the high of
seeing each other.
Seeing you,
so long.
I'm not going to get to see you again.
And it's this
soak up every moment
thing, and it's like there's a lot wrapped up into something that's a secret.
Yes.
It's much more. There's a lot more energy there.
So much pain, but also highs. It's so interesting but I still believe that at any moment Jack would have left any arrangement he was in
and
for
he
Ellis.
says that to him
too.
He's like, I told you what we could have had. We could have done this. But like, I do like the setup that, we've already talked about this, but I do love the setup of Ennis's history with his father showing him that gay man that they killed.
Yeah, I know.
And like seeing like, that's why he's in his shell. And like, that's why he's so afraid. It's just like, but then like, what's your take on the ending line where he's like, I swear, Jack, I swear. Jack, I swear what? Like, I kind of take it as like, he's like, I swear I'm going to like start living for myself, or I'm going to make good on you and like try and like get, I don't know.
You know what? I loved it because I kind of interpreted it a couple different ways. And I felt like that it was meant to be open enough because it felt also like, Jack, I swear if I had it to do over again, not that I believe that, not that I actually think Ennis would necessarily, but that.
Well, that he couldn't.
He couldn't.
He's bound by his circumstances and by his history and by his trauma.
Because he decided it in the sense of like, Ennis is a victim of his own belief system where it's like he could have, especially after the divorce, I was like, oh no, like you literally could have.
And Jack even says, why don't you leave that place? Like, why don't you go like move to Texas? And he's like, move to Texas.
Yeah.
Like what, like Ennis is like such a frustrating character.
Yeah. Because he is so decided that this is my life. And it's like, that is part of the heartbreak of all of it. That I don't know. I feel like I saw it a couple different ways, but I kind of liked that it was vague because it almost all that really mattered was like how he said it. It felt like he was speaking to like his, like it was almost like two people in their 80s, like, you know what I mean? Like going,
well, it
like,
can mean anything. It can mean everything. And that's kind of the beauty of it. It's like, it's interesting that the script that, doesn't let you have an original thought of your own in so many ways, then leaves on such an open-ended thing, which is very
well, and I feel like one of the things I've realized, I think I heard Lena Dunham say this before, and I might have even said this before on the podcast, how she was saying she is working on the part of her that always felt like the most romantic things are like slightly heartbreaking or like yearning or like how now that she's been in a healthy relationship so long, she's like trying to like allow romance to be like healthy, loving, whatever, but how like there's something so delicious about writing romantic things that are kind of like heartachy and frustrating and whatever. And I'm unfortunately a little bit part of that club as well. I'm like 50-50. I think I love the romance of both, but I feel like there is something ultimately so heartbreaking and romantic about him finding these two shirts interwoven together.
Oh, it is.
And
it's very poetic.
It's so poetic. And that he then hangs it up. And I love, so in the script, he like goes to order a postcard with Brokeback. It's like a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then the girl's flirting with it. It's like enough already. Whereas the movie knew what needed it. He pinned up a postcard that Jack had sent him, which felt more meaningful than him just having a photo of Brokeback. That I just like, I don't know. It was just so gorgeously simple. And that like hearing his daughter be so free and like, yep, I'm getting married. I'm going and doing this. And like him observing like, how easy it could be.
Do you think the daughter knew? I kind of got the feeling that Kate Mara knows.
I think that's why they added that scene with Cassie when she's like, and Kate Mara is being so visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I like that it was unspoken, but I do think it's her being
that's the scene that kind of, indicated that for me as well.
What did you think about though her saying like, things have been kind of tough. Like, what would you think about me coming to stay with you? Why do you think and then when he's like, no.
I think because it would hinder his ability to go see Jack.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Well, last. We kind of touched on this for a second, but I'm curious. Do you think Lorena is like bold-faced lying about how, like, where and how they found Jack?
Oh, yes. I kind of do, because...
Do you think it was in Mexico? Do you think... Because I'm like, where, like... Or do you think he just let himself get a little too comfortable at home or something?
I kind of like that we don't know how Jack died.
I know.
Because it plays into Ennis's trauma, because Ennis is filling in the blanks there, because you see like him having these mental flashbacks of like the guy that his father took him to see that they killed, and then that being replaced with Jack. In the movie, he's getting mental flashes of Jack getting beaten with a tire iron. There's a moment in the script where it says it was the tire iron. They talk about the gay bashing hate crime in terms of saying, was it the tire iron or was it this? And he says like he thinks it was the tire iron. And I liked that. It was like ambiguous but clear, which is an oxymoron that I just said, but whatever. But I like that it was open-ended in that way.
Well, they show the flash.
What do you mean?
In the movie, they show a quick flash of him being
beaten.
Yeah.
But you don't know if that's truth, because you're seeing that intercut with Ennis on the phone. And it's kind of like, having read the script, it's clear that, but like having not read the script, that would have made me assume that we're seeing what actually happened.
Right.
But I think she is lying, because I wasn't sure when I read it, but when I watched it, it made me sure of it because of the tears welling up in her eyes when she's saying it. And she's in the script, they make her sound like she's just flatly cold.
Yeah.
And she's just giving them this information. She doesn't care. But in this, like with the tears and her, grappling with the fact that she's realizing like this was the guy that he was always going to see. This was his real love. And I think in that time, of course they would lie about how he died. And like her dad's rich, and like, why are you going to...
And when you hear
the shame of like, I was married to a gay man forever and no one knew it. And then he got killed by going to, do more gay things.
Yeah.
I do think But I like that, again, for a script that tells you so much and doesn't leave any ambiguity.
Yeah.
The ending is extremely ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
But yeah.
That's it.
That's all she wrote.
Do you have daddy do's or don'ts?
I have one daddy don't.
Okay. What is it?
And this goes in direct contradiction of some of my other daddy do's that I've said for other scripts.
Ooh.
But it's all within context, script babies, all within context. And you've already heard me talk ad nauseum about this, but here we go. Daddy don't, number one and only. Daddy don't be too specific. While the writing is While the writing is undeniably beautiful, sometimes the best way to make a reader feel what you want them to feel is by presenting them with the situation and letting them parse through it on their own instead of spoon-feeding them exposition in the action, telling them how they should feel. If the writer had pulled back in certain moments, especially towards the end, I feel like the power of the story would have been a lot stronger.
Girl, literally, I have a daddy do that's like, meh, it's not my best because I just was struggling to find a daddy do with this one. And again, which is weird because like I'm sure you could, but I don't know.
Here's one that we found in the wild that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
But also it became a double-edged sword. The vernacular in the dialogue at first really brought me into it and made me see it, but it became tedious only because of how the words were written.
Yes.
I think there's a way to do vernacular and there's a way to indicate an accent and a cadence in a way that's not going to make your mind be like a little too like I said, like they said, instead of saying wanna, W-A-N-N-A, they'd say want, two separate words. And it just was like, it's too much for me.
Yep.
So it's like a light daddy do. Daddy do play with vernacular in a way that's accessible.
That's authentic and accessible. Agreed. Yeah. So my daddy do is just like allow yourself space to let a line of action float off the page. And what I meant by that was like the line of dialogue that literally sticks out more than any others on there. Then as easily as the right key turns the lock, tumblers, their mouths come together. It literally for a script that had so many words, that was the one I kept coming back to.
Gorgeous.
It's just gorgeous. And I thought that's
probably the best line of action. That's probably the best writing in the entire thing.
And that's what I think is so interesting though, is that it speaks to that thing of going like, yes, action in a script is in so many ways the blueprint of what people will be filming. Of course, we all know that. But the craft part is, can you do it in a way that doesn't feel like homework? Can you do it in a way that is an adventure and is a journey, is getting me to feel the things I need to feel when I'm watching this film.
That is true craft.
That is craft. That's craft to be able to word that like that and then have it be something that I'm literally thinking about it.
Yeah. It's what takes writing from being a strand of pretty words to art.
Agreed. Which is what I think every writer spends the rest of their lives trying to get more and more of that. And I think what we're kind of coming to over and over again is that like, there is too much of a good thing in the sense of like no one is looking. An example of that. No one is looking for you to show us in as many words as possible your ability to do it. We're actually looking for your ability to do it in as few of words as possible.
Yes, that's where the talent, like craft comes through. Yeah.
My daddy don't. Daddy don't say it all. Daddy don't say it all.
Yeah.
Daddy, don't say it all.
Leave some to the imagination.
Don't
say it all.
Don't speak. I know just what you're thinking.
Because you said it ad nauseum. You left nothing to the imagination.
Which leads me to my final daddy don't. Daddy, don't let your ability to be incredibly specific make you overindulge.
Yeah.
I was literally bogged down by how detailed certain descriptions were.
Yeah.
So pretty on the nose there. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous girl. I am so glad we did this though.
Me too.
Like truly,
I'm fascinated by this. I know, like, I don't know. I want to take some time away from it and then watch the movie again and see how I feel. Because today I was in a bit of a weird funk today too. So I guess
I'm gonna out him. Guess who hasn't seen this?
Who?
Scott.
Wow.
By the way, so shocked. I thought he was pranking me. That's how insane it was to me that he hasn't seen it, that I thought it was a joke. Cause I was like emotionally hungover after the movie. And he's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I was like, I mean, it's Brokeback Mountain. And he kind of just gave me this like, yeah. And I was like, cause I was like kind of still a little cry for a little bit. And he was like, well, and I was like, well, it's Brokeback Mountain. And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, you've seen it. And he was like, actually, no, it's fucked up, but I haven't. And I was like, like laughing. And he's like, no, like I actually, that's one of the like movies I need to see and haven't seen it. And I was literally like clutching my chest, bowled over, like, what the fuck are you talking about? He also hasn't seen Sound of Music. Like there are movies that are just gaping holes in his like. So I said, I was like, well, we're watching it this week. I need a couple days.
Did he watch Moonlight?
I don't remember. Ooh, if not, we have to get.
Yeah.
But I was like, I know that would be your. I know.
Moonlight's my Brokeback.
Fair. But but it's so worth. It's such an iconic film.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's
like
gorgeous.
You gotta see it. I'm not saying it's the
is.
best queer film. I'm just saying it's a movie you gotta see. It's cinematography too. You know what I mean? Like all of it, especially from Scott. Whatever.
It is
anyway,
gorge. But yeah,
I love you.
Love you too.
See you next time.
See you next time. Script Daddies.
Script Daddies.